What's up, man? We're back again. It's Thursday for another episode of Push Back on this Stigma, man, talking about mental health, mental illness, and life in general. Tonight's topic is called, Are We Out of Order? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, just play with some different thought-provoking ideas, man, some different perspectives, something to think about. My co-host Clyde Williams is on tonight. This is Clyde, and also Kay. This cat out the bag will be on shortly. So I'm excited about this show tonight, man. I don't think it's gonna start any trouble. I think we're gonna have a real good convo tonight. Sunday, if y'all haven't caught the one-on-one that I have with my man, Mr. Paul Tyler, let's go check that out on YouTube, Facebook Live. That was a really good one. Talking about the title of that show was called Baby Daddy. Talking about a lot of things that men go through that aren't really talked about, you know, especially when it comes to being a single pops. We brought attention to the fact that a lot of people don't realize that men kind of go through the same struggle that women do, you know, when initial breakup. So let me go ahead and cut this music off so we can get to it. All right, let's get to it, man. Dope conversation tonight. I'm going to bring my co-host on, Clyde, a little earlier than usual. What's up, Clyde, baby? I can't hear you yet, bro. I'm about to bring you on in a second, though. Like I said, Kay will be on shortly. We'll try to keep it going until she hops on. Tonight's topic is, like I said before, are we out of order? You know what I'm saying? Like, what I mean by that, it's just not. That's a broad conversation piece right there for a title, right? Because when you think about it from relationships, love, just living life in general, basic life, we talk about the things that when you go back and you look at some of the things that impact, you know, mental health and plays a huge role in mental illnesses sometimes, man, like we miss the bigger picture. So tonight we're going to kind of bring attention to the smaller pieces, some good convos, love, relationships, like I said, basic living, basic life, exploring some different perspectives, man, that we don't normally hear in the mainstream media, we don't normally talk about, but may have something to you know, give into. And you know, a lot of times I bring into question, like, is this really mental illness, or is it a bigger sign? Is it a sign of something bigger? Are we in a space where our environments are sick? The environment is sick, and what you're seeing in us play out mentally sometimes it has a huge impact. It gives a huge some red arrows, man, pointing to, you know, what the really issues are, but it gets kind of swept under the rug when you talk about things and you label things with mental illness and not really deal with the traumatic or the environmental perspective of things, right? Kind of keep making the same things happen. So tonight we're gonna make it interesting. We're gonna dive into the good stuff as far as relationship in a little bit, but I'm gonna kick it off with this one as far as like just all out universal order, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you talking about universal order in perspective of that like the universe has a particular order and it has nothing to do, no man can stop it. And I think, the life that we live in today and living in within the system that we live in today, which is the industrial system, or, after the industrial revolution, like a lot of things have challenged nature in a way of where we try to manipulate nature to work to our advantage and not so much abide by the way that nature works, right? You can't stop nature. You can't stop, the universal laws. And instead of manipulating nature by science, kind of use both of them, man, like we did years ago and centuries ago, to kind of establish our life cycles. And so tonight's gonna be a little bit interesting, man. So I say that because I'm about to bring Clyde on right real quick. Clyde always down for a good convo, some good word sparring. So let's get to it. Clyde, I'm about to bring you on, baby.
Hit it.
You.
What's going on with you, brother? How you doing today?
I'm good, bro. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Best it can be.
Hey, bro, it's been a rough 2 weeks, dog.
Yeah, man. Still.
I'm glad to see you over there and smiling, bro.
Yeah. Same, brother. Same.
No
Just keep
doubt,
on
man.
going, man.
No doubt. You too, dog. You too, man. So, hey, bro, tonight I just thought we were going to hop into like this is the first episode of like the convo piece, right? So, like you and I talked about a while ago, we were going to break it down and doing the interviews on Sundays and to kind of have more of a group conversation on Thursdays, different perspectives, a lighter conversation. But also, I'm working on an idea, man, for a man cave portion of it. You know what I'm saying? So we can go in there and talk sports, we can talk finances, we can talk whatever. I'm like on that man cave sector. So it'd be 3 portions to it, right? So I'm excited about all the things that we got going on in that space. But now, bro, today I want to kind of make this interesting, man. Talking about the universal orders and how it would never change for man. And we kind of lose conversation in that speech because when you speak universal order, most people kind of sound like something far-fetched or something like people, especially in today's society, man, like something that you just conspiracy theory or conspiring minds go with, but there's actual scientific facts that back this thing up, right? So I think the first part that I want to I was watching a video the other day of what's his name, Dick Gregory, bro. And some of the things that he was saying, I've seen it before. Some of the things that he was talking about, man, he was talking about the universal order, right? And he was talking about the top killers, the real top killers amongst African Americans. And what he was talking about, it was the same stuff Dr. Sebi spoke on. You know what I'm saying? It was the same stuff that you hear a lot of our Rastafarian brothers speak on. You know what I'm saying? You hear a lot of indigenous folks speak on this language, on the stuff that they're saying, right? And when you think about it, you look at it in a space where you're like, man, it's far-fetched as hell, right? But today, it was confirmed, man, because my wife and I, my daughter, my Tyler, we were watching one of those planet shows on Netflix, a documentary about just the planet. My wife asked the question, like, that's so amazing. That's so funny how like these animals know to migrate without speaking, without talking, without having the clock, without having to watch, right? And you start to fall back and you start to think of things as simpler times, and you just like, bro, what was stuff like before electricity? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened and what did that look like, right? So when you hear people say, they mention 2 things that are killers, the 2 major things, three actually, that are major killers amongst African Americans that we really haven't touched on in detail. You hear it here and there, but a lot of people don't talk about sleep deprivation, dehydration, and physical activity, right? And what that actually looks like, because within that space, especially physical activity, it was funny to hear Dick Gregory say it, because researching and looking into it, you kind of seeing signs like, hold up, man, maybe if you have somebody great-great-grandfather telling you this stuff, bro, you probably wouldn't really knew or wouldn't know where to go find this stuff, especially if you're not into things like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you get into this space and you start finding out like what sleep deprivation is, what it really is, like, passed down through your ancestors and going through and you get an idea of time, it really goes beyond electricity, right? Before lights. So it goes to a space where we say you're supposed to have at least 9 hours of sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the sleep schedule is supposed to look like when you go to bed, when the sun goes down, 90 minutes later, you go down, right? And then when the sun arises, 90 minutes before the sun arises, you wake up. You know what I'm saying? To kind of get ready for the day, you're fully recharged. But it's not just the process of going to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like when you sleep in that order, it's amazing because it's like recharging the battery, right? You can recharge your phone and go from 100%, or you can recharge it going around real quick and it ain't gonna last as long, right? So when you get into that space of sleep deprivation, and you're not having sleep. Dick Gregory brought up in a video, an episode of Oprah, when the guy left his child in the car for 106-degree temperatures from mistaken responsibility and obligation days. As far as who was going to take the child back and forth to daycare. That particular day, man, he got into a space where he forgot that the kid was in the car, parked at work, went to the daycare to go pick the baby up, and daycare's like, the baby's not here. Go back in the car, the baby's in the back seat, the baby passed away from the high temperatures in the car, the high heat, right? So how he explained that was how sleep deprivation works. It's in a space where you don't realize you're tired all the time, right? But there are little signs that let you know that you're tired. And when you're tired, when you're not fully charged, you don't get that 9-hour sleep consistently. Just think about you. Just think about me. Think about your homeboys, the people you know that get up and go off for 6 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. They grinding out, burning that mid-hour. Think about people that work night shifts, right? And then wondering why people that deal with night shift, they deal with an extremely large amount of illnesses and some type of mental complications sometimes, right? Because your circadian cycle or something, I can't think of the exact name of it, it's thrown off, right?
Yes. Circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm is thrown off. You know what I'm saying? So when you get into that space, man, and you start thinking like, all right, sleep deprivation, what does that look like? When you're tired, you need stimulants for your body, or your body starts craving stimulants to work properly, right? So a lot of people don't realize that outside of alcohol, outside of cigarettes, outside of drugs, like the average recreational drugs, stimulants, most medications that we take are actually some type of stimulant, right? And it's a stimulant because, let's say, your blood pressure is dysregulated. You take this blood pressure pill that stimulates your blood to regulate. You know what I'm saying? Like the same thing with different low blood pressure. It stimulates the body to kind of work properly, to bring and to work accordingly to what what you need to kind of work properly. But within that space, man, like your body will find the stimulant if you don't need it, right? So what's the first thing? Adrenaline. That comes out naturally, right? And what comes with adrenaline? Usually aggression, anger, frustration. And it's a way your body is saying it needs rest, but you're taking it as this is every day, you're just having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? So you get into that space where we talk about addicts as being like recreational drug users and abusers, but the number one addicts are the elderly people within the community that are taking medications that they need now at this point because they've been taking so long that their body won't work without it. So if we look at the real perspective of addiction, you got people, man, like that whole elderly population are the ones that are really running this, that are really fueling and pumping the addiction piece of Western medications for treatments. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you look at it historically, everybody knows that Western medication doesn't cure. You know what I'm saying? There's no profit in cure, like we all know. So it's funny that when you look back at things like the hostility and things like that, you start to realize like looking at it that way, you would realize like you're not charged now with this information, right? But it goes the same thing sometimes when you're dehydrated, your body you're thirsty and you'll drink soda, orange juice. But if you think about it, that thirst is never really quenched. You get full, your thirst isn't quenched because your body is craving that water, natural source. You know what I'm saying? So when you put it together like that,
and not even bottled water.
You know what I'm saying? you
gotta eat that fruit.
You gotta get that fruit. You gotta mix it up because you gotta have that water, but you gotta have that H2O, but you also gotta have that fruit water as well. You know what I'm saying? For the benefits that come with that.
Which is H3O.
H3O. Yeah. But the other side of it, you can break it down in a second. The other side of that too is like with the type of hydration that you need. A lot of people don't realize that in the morning there's certain types of you're not supposed to just eat any type of fruit in the morning. There's a specific type of fruit that you eat in the morning. Fruit that is high in juice content or hydration content, or that you eat that in the morning is also a source of hydration that you accompany along with your water, right? Going into that, you go into dehydration. You start looking into places as far as like what is dehydration. Hey, Harley and Javi, hold on one second. My bad, I'm back. Sorry about that. Dog started fighting. So
I understand.
no, man, like so just breaking that down as far as the like that part, the first part, number one cause, which is sleep deprivation. When you break that down, you start understanding how certain things have an impact on your overall systematic function of your body, right? Because you get the sleep portion of it, right? Then you get the dehydrated portion of it. And dehydration isn't to the place where you're going to the hospital at this point for dehydration. If you're going to the hospital for dehydration, you already went way too far past, where you're supposed to go, the threshold of, and it's getting pretty dangerous for you to be walking around now. It can kill you, right? Or you can start system failure and things like that. Going into that space where people don't realize, like it's not Gatorade, it's not all these, it's straight, like you said, it's straight water that the body actually thrives. And if you think about it, it makes sense because the earth is full of what? What's the percentage of water on earth? You know what I'm saying? A large percent of it. It's about what, like 70, 87% of the earth? You know what I'm saying? So you get in that space, bro, where you start looking at, okay.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Like 85, 87, somewhere around there. Something crazy, right? So, like I said, but when you look at,
I think it's like 70. I think it's 70%.
70, somewhere like that. I can't remember the exact count. I didn't look that up not before we hopping on, but yeah, somewhere around that, we in that range, right? And you look at it for what exactly is that? It's a lack of water. People don't realize, like Dick Gregory said in that space, where you take a droplet of water in a little droplet container, right? A little droplet, and you drop a drop. People don't realize that when you drop that drop of water, that one drop of water, it holds enough electrical universal energy to tear down an 11-story building. You know what I'm saying? Or something bigger. It's real power in water. So when you're depriving yourself of water, you're depriving yourself of energy as well. But what do we go to for energy? You go to coffee. You know what I'm saying? You get, you 5-hour energy drink, all these things. Energy drinks, you know what I'm saying? All this stuff that is detrimental to your liver function, right? And your lymphatic system, right? So when you get into that space of, you know what I'm saying, like not drinking water, and you think about what the average person consumes and juice and sugar and all the high sugar content, man, like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect when I'm working on that myself as far as getting them together, but as I'm getting older, I'm learning, like, man, like, so a lot of this stuff like cancer and all this other stuff, it has more of a starting point, right? So think about how powerful water was. At one point, this country ran trains from east to west coast just off of steam. Boats ran all across the world just off of steam. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a powerful source of energy that was moving like major shipping containers, tons and tons of stuff nonstop. Well, something that naturally came from the earth. What happened now is that space is that man in the system that we're living in today and the industrial civilization that we're living in today, we have to manipulate that to work in our advantage because there's no other way that we can make this stuff happen. And that's when you start to see things being pulled from the earth, like the electrical cars, and you start to realize like what we actually doing to the world that we're living in, right? So getting to that, like dehydration is the number 2 cause of death. You know what I'm saying? And within that space, you have to drink the recommended amount of body water is half your body weight in ounces. You know what I'm saying? And speaking from like personal experience, man, like this last month, 3 weeks for real, I've been on a kick of working out every day, hitting the gym, running, walking. You know what I'm saying? Like, so and being intentionally outside, I've noticed a huge difference in not only my physical health, but my mental health. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm quicker, I'm thinking, I have more energy. My neighbor even came out. My neighbor came out and said, "Dad, what you doing, bro? You look younger. What's that, bro? What does it?"
Exercise is the key not only to physical health, but to peace of mind.
Facts. It has a huge impact on your mental mental health, bro. Realizing like that chemicals induced just being active, bro, is just like something that you can't get when you're just sitting there. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to those 2 things right there, number 1, number 2 killers amongst African Americans, you break that down and you can see, okay, how does cancer work? How does high blood pressure work? How does these kidneys failures? And you got all these people on dialysis work. When you look at, I was reading something, man, the other day where they were talking about the amount of dialysis centers in the U.S. versus the ones that are in Africa. So if that's really a problem of our people, why they don't have these dialysis? Why didn't they before you get processed foods over there? Why didn't they have these situations before us? It wasn't because they were poor; they didn't need it. And you're dealing with some of the poorest populations out that space, and they're not taking insulin. They weren't taking insulin in that space. So it goes down to the space. I was talking to my wife about something I read about Amish folks and how they, you know, they're close to us in civilization, but they operate far outside of what we got going on. And when you look at the rate of autism amongst their kid population, amongst their population together, it's damn near non-existent compared to our civilization, the civilized world, what they call it, right? And but then you're looking like, are we the smart ones or are they the smart ones? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if that's the case, like, what are they doing that we aren't doing? And you look at the diet, not eating processed foods. That milk comes straight from the cow, straight from the barn, straight to the table. Their food comes from the same place. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know how to nurture and regenerate the soil. They know how to take care of the ground. And when you look at it, like a lot of our indigenous folks, a lot of people from Africa, a lot of what we call South Americans now, bro. These people are the people that we were kind of in charge of maintaining the earth, right? As far as taking care of it and making sure, knowing how things work, knowing the cycle of the work, knowing the universal laws of how things work. And it was funny, my wife earlier was like, how do they know? How do these animals know in such large numbers just to go to this place? It's the universal law. You know what I'm saying? You're pulled by the universe and the life that we live and we created, we outside of that space. I don't want to have a conversation tonight to take you into a space where you see like I like my guys with the what do they call high quality conversations. I can't remember with Earn Your Leaders. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the name of what they got going on, but they talk about this stuff in a space where it kind of, you know, a lot of people are buying into it now and getting what they're talking about, but it goes on a lot of folks' heads. So I don't want to go there tonight. I just want to bring some insight or just hey, bro, like, go look that stuff up real quick. Go look up what real dehydration is. Go look up sleep deprivation is outside of what they're telling us we need to sleep. Actually look at what happened with the food charts that we had growing up. Remember the food pyramids? Remember, you know what I'm saying? Like now that stuff, you barely hear of it. You know what I'm saying? But why? Because everything they were pushing to us now, it shows that it has a type of backlash to it, especially milk and things like that. So it's no, it's cool. I got you, bro. It's all right. I expected on this, and I'm used to that portion of it, so I ain't even tripping. It may seem delayed to me and you, but to the crowd, to the folks watching, it's kind of right on time. So like, nah, man, when you start thinking about it in that space, and you start thinking like, bro, like what, like, really, is it mental illness or is this the result of what's supposed to happen when we're so deprived of the natural sources of life that we don't have access to? You know what I'm saying? So I was telling my wife, like, if you think back to the time where you see animals migrating in that space. Humans used to migrate the same way. But now what happened once we got divided into that space, you start boxing out territories, right? So now you got one race versus another race. So now if something happens or if you can't migrate like we used to, because now it's so many laws, so many different things, so many different areas you got to be careful for, a lack of money that you needed at one point. At one point, you just picked up your horses, your wagon, and you went. It's that far, and you want to go further than that. The Indians would travel on foot, and they would take their whole family across when they had to go find new land to function and live. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just digging into that piece right there, so I don't want to dive into that too much into it because I can't give like the actual information on that yet, but I will be soon. You know what I'm saying? But just think, we all seen them videos back in the day growing up, you know what I'm saying? But notice something now. We don't see those anymore. Why is that? What are they trying to where are they trying to manipulate this future to? And if we're here now, just off of where we are now, with the suicide increase in men, the suicide increase in kids, bro, like that reminds me of that movie, man, when they said the trees were killing people. Remember that? When the trees were like making people walk off buildings and commit suicide and things like that. I forgot the name of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that's kind of the same thing that's going on right now. What was it?
I don't know. I can't think of the name of that movie though. But
I'm gonna look it up when you get the rapping.
The ad counted or what?
But bro, with that, like, it goes down to the space of like now as the trees.
I feel like that question.
Go ahead. My bad. I didn't want to ask you.
You find it.
Huh?
Oh no, I was just saying, like, you saying, is it? You was trying to say like, what's the cause of it? Like, why they don't show us, and why is it mental health, or is it what was that part again? You said, was it mental health, or is it driving us?
A sign, huh? Is it mental health or is it a sign of that delay killing me?
It's crazy. But we know what you said, and I feel like it's both. It's like the the country. I gotta be careful how I say what I say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It thrives off of us depending off of them. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like
And everywhere.
mental health is a business. Going to the doctor, being sick, dis-ease is a business. They
Mm-hmm.
need your body to be like that so you can run back and forth to the doctors. That's why doctors they are in networks with each other. So you might go to one doctor for one thing, but then they're gonna be like, well, we found this doctor to doctor, so everybody can get paid, everybody can get a piece of the, you know what I'm saying, piece of the
Yeah,
pie. And it's
yeah.
the same thing with the foods and stuff that they give us. The stuff really, if you once you really start going into research and going into details for real, bro, we don't supposed to eat meat or nothing. We only supposed
Yeah,
to eat food that has life in it. And by life, I mean like vegetables, uh,
mm-hmm.
whole grains, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. We only supposed to eat stuff like that because us as carbonated beings, we're full of electricity. We learned that in elementary school. We learned that we made up of atoms, which
Mm-hmm.
has a nucleus, what's that? Electron, protons, neutrons,
Yep.
which is you have six neutrons, six electrons, six neutrons. That's the real 666. But it's crazy how they manipulate everything to be bad to keep you
Bad
from going
when it's
into
actually
detail about studying it.
because it deters you from taking care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like so, like without going to that space and making it
Exactly.
like you know, it makes you dependent. You know what I'm saying? Like so, we look at the course of civilization now, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like where the government's in a space where they're discouraging independence. They're doing everything in their power to get you to be dependent on them in the system. In this place where you got people on six figures, bro, that are not getting government assistance. You know what I'm saying? Like, and 10 years ago, nobody's noticing
Right.
that, bro. And on that six figures, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, not even 20 years ago, bro. Like, it was probably 20 years ago now, but you were taking care of a full family. You had a wife at home. You had a family of four at home. You had two cars in your garage. You had a nice house, single family home, and you were taking vacations twice a year, three times a year. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
things change and inflation causes things to be more uncomfortable. But bro, there's no reason why in a space where in a society where God gives you every resource you need at your fingertips within growing space that we can't get it now. What's up, K? K just hopped on. I'm gonna bring you on in a second, K. The so it's getting in that space, man, where you we talked about at a smaller scale when you talk about the food deserts in the hood and you talk about the violence, you talk about the environmental perspective of the hood in that space. So now take this part of it and add that piece onto there, right? Because now you're looking at it like, bro, there's no way like everybody's mentally ill in some space or addicted to something, right? You know what I'm saying? Like as far as your diet and things like that. And when you look at it in the space of your diet and it being addiction or everybody being a drunkard, is what I read, right? And it was saying that how your diet
Mm-hmm.
has you in a space where you can't even stay up half the time, or you can't wake up because you think you're just tired or you feeling slow in the morning. But no, it's really how your body is breaking down the processed foods that we've been consuming for the last most of our lives and then most of their lives. You know what I'm saying? So when you get to that space, man, let me get to this and we can go ahead and talk. You go through after the first threat to African Americans, you go from there to dehydration, the number two cause of death. You go to the lack of physical fitness, right? And then you start talking about physical fitness, you think about it as looking good, staying in shape, having confidence, but it's really deeper than that. And it's in a space where if you think about it, man, the blood has, I mean, your blood, there's 13 pints of blood in your system, right? But that has a pump, right? Your heart. That kind of keeps it moving through your body, keeps things going, right? But then the bigger part, the most
Mm-hmm.
influential system that we have that nobody pays attention to that doesn't have a part and has the most fluid is the lymphatic system, which has 45 pints of fluid, right? But has no pump. So how are you going to get that out of your system? A lot of people don't realize that the lymphatic system is pretty much the dump truck or the garbage truck of your body. It goes through and collects all the way throughout all your systems. But it has, if you're not active, if you're not working out, you can't pump that, right? You can't get that stuff out of your system. So what happens? It then starts to overflow and it goes back into your body, right? And these poisons then go back into the places. And the first places that attacks you start to see the difference is your liver, right? Your liver is the only organ that is an organ and a gland. That's the biggest thing you got. And when you start seeing it, when you start impacting that, a lot of times you don't realize it right away that's being impacted. You can go a couple years, bro, without knowing. Yeah, you can go years, decades without knowing that your liver is in bad shape. You know what I'm saying? Until it gets to the point where it's really bad shape. And it's scary when you think about it that way, man, because you're like, yeah, you start seeing all these lymphatic diseases and things like that going on now that are really prevalent in our communities now. And you just like, you're seeing people going dialysis and things like that from kidney failure and things like that. You're just like, bro, like, what's going on? But it's really a lack of activity, right? So you think about how the lack of activity impacts your brain. It ain't just impacting your brain. It's your body system is now tainted and poisoned. So you can't run properly with no sleep, no water. Now your lymphatic system is overpowered with all the sewage and draining back into your body, right? So you come into a place where, all right, boom, you get tired of feeling like that, you start working out, right? You're working out, you immediately start feeling better. You're sweating more, you got things coming out, you start feeling lighter, you start quicker, you're more alert and things like that. That's not a coincidence. That's all in the space of like you're moving in order now. You know what I'm saying? Like you're moving in a space in a space that's healthy, you're moving in a space that's active and things like that, right? So, and also you think about when you start working out, think about how often you start pooping, you start peeing, how that just flows, you're not forcing it, the constipation isn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like as you start getting older, people attribute these things to old age, but no, it's not. It's a lack of activity. It's laziness. It's a lack of movement. You know what I'm saying? So going inside of that, man, like it gets deeper because a lot of people don't realize, like, even within physical fitness, there's a certain type of physical fitness that you have to do to maintain your health. Certain exercises prolong, like it's just as detrimental to your health as cigarettes or alcohol, right? And I'm gonna give you an example from that one as the marathon. A lot of people don't realize that a marathon is equivalent to smoking a 6-pack of cigarettes, right? But how? How the fuck is that possible? You know what I'm saying? Like it's possible because in a marathon, the type of the way it breaks down your body, right? The way the inside of your body and breaks down certain cells, it starts to become toxic, right? What your body is producing on this run. But it's not just a marathon. I think the marathon is like what, 36 miles or something like that, somewhere around there. So don't quote me on that. I haven't ran one, but I know it's.
I'm about to say, I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's somewhere around there. Maybe somebody out there on the.
Look it up.
Yeah, okay. So when you look at that, you go in that space, man. You're like, so what do you do, right? Like, people don't realize that actuality, the best actual exercise is actually walking. You know what I'm saying? Because it's jogging is actually detrimental to your body as well on your knees. That's why you get the heart pain, the shock from the concrete does something to your heart and things of that nature. So it's a lot of things on here that, like I said, I don't want to go deep into, but hopefully it triggers you to go research it on your own and see what we're talking about, right? And it's not just walking. Like it's cool to walk on a track, yeah, but you don't want to do that every day. You want to walk on a surface that's not flat. You know what I'm saying? So take hikes and things like that, because now as the surface isn't even, as you're walking, you're hitting different types of angles and things like that. It forces your body, it forces your brain to kind of wake up and say, oh, what's going on here? So now what did that do? It strengthens your nervous system. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's in a space where it makes you more alert, it makes you quick. So when you say that, bro, like when you speak on it in this term and you ask like, how are we out of order? Because a lack of all this stuff leads to diseases. You know what I'm saying? And if, like I said earlier, the first thing that's impacted is your liver. Your liver starts tailing out, and then what else happens? You start to see signs of all these men, bro. You start to see signs and equivalent to other factors as far as like not being able to be a traditional space and go out here and lead your family in all spaces. Like every man can't do that right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's in a space where you look at it as you've been neutralized in many different spaces. You're not taking care of yourself physically. You're not feeding your body proper nutrients. You're not outside getting proper sunlight. And it goes to a space where your entire body starts to become diseased and things like that. So a lot of people don't realize too that within that space we talked about earlier, man, where we talked about like how anger damages your liver, bitterness damages your liver, and all that other stuff, right? That's how powerful it is. But it's in a space where like you start thinking like, bro, how does anger and that kind of stuff like get to you, man? Like it does. Anger is a killer. It's a quiet killer as well because of the chemicals that is produced in your body. It's toxic to your body, right? It goes back into a space where they say laughter is the best medicine. But you hear that, it sounds so cliche. You like, how is laughter the best medicine? No, it's an actual process because when you laugh, you're contracting and certain muscles, and those muscles are releasing chemicals into your body that promotes healthiness, happiness, and things like that. It makes you younger. It's like a fountain of youth. But on the other side of it, with anger, man, you get anger. Anger pinches similar muscles, different type of muscles where it makes it tense. So that produces a gas that is toxic to your body, and then starts to break down your heart, starts to break down your liver, and things like that. So think about somebody that's always uptight and how they look, bro. They look sick. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they look flushed. They look like their eyes are usually red or yellow or something like that. That's not a coincidence. That's not because they're mad and their blood rushes to their eyes. It's a bigger physiological impact going on there, right? So you break all that stuff down, man, and you start thinking about how this stuff actually works, and you start thinking about how the environment that most of us live in and where we come from, like these stuff is designed for us to be in a space, right? And so now it gets to how do you fix it? A lot of people don't realize, man, like a lot of people we get these medications from, a lot of people don't realize that you got colleges like Harvard and Yale, bro, they have departments dedicated that go out here and they study natural herbs in different parts of the world and make a synthetic form of it to produce some Western medication, which treats and not cures anything, right? But if you break it down and you go to something like, okay, why the hell was Dr. Sebi stuff working and nobody else's? You know what I'm saying? A few other doctors here and there were kind of having positive impacts with curing cancer and curing HIV and all that other stuff. And you look at what they've done. Dr. Sebi had his he had his little spot in Honduras, man, where a lot of people don't realize like everything about that place was the best like type of environment you can have for your human body. The alkaline water springs that they had running through the villages and things like that, it kind of neutralized the acidic levels in your body and things like that. So it's crazy to me, man, when you see things that we're dealing with as a Black community, as far as like the elevated lead levels. Don't realize that 68% of the lead of that it causes cancer. You also have, I don't realize that the way you pull lead out of your body through sea kelp, you know what I'm saying? It's really a formula to kind of break things down. But it's amazing to me, man, just looking through this stuff. This stuff is what I get a kick out of, bro. Like, so I can dive deep into this stuff. But a lot of people don't realize when we say environment, there's many factors that plays a part in going into you that throws you off. You know what I'm saying? Like, but because we've been raised in a space of complacency and normalcy, we don't realize that it's not the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So getting through this piece right here, man, like then you understand like cell phones and the energy that comes from cell phones and how that disrupts your brain cells and disrupts your immune system and slows down the heart. All of this stuff is scientifically proven, man. It's research. You go look it up and see that it causes detrimental harm to your body, right? But what's happening? It keeps growing. If electricity is this bad, if cell phones were that bad, we just heighten the raises up now by doing electrical cars. You know what I'm saying? Like everywhere you could think of. So, like when I say out of order, man, like we're gonna get into the love side of a relationship of it, but I wanted to bring perspective into the side of where you just like, man, like it's deep though. We have so many things to fix and pay attention to get a grasp on this mental health piece of life, because it's not just you thinking something and it's going south. There's a reason for it. There's a reaction that caused you to get to this place. So Kay just hopped on, count the bag. I'm about to go ahead and bring you on. Y'all heard my rant, Clyde. You can hop on and say, you can tag on whatever you got out of that when you want to add to what I just said, man. We can get the conversation flowing, bro. But did that make sense to you? What's up, Kay?
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, yes, sir. Most definitely.
Hey, Clyde.
And I agree with a lot of that. We'll break it down.
Hey, Kay, he got a major delay. He got a major.
I was listening to a lot of what you were saying, and it definitely made sense. So there was so recently I was working in integrative medicine, and so integrative medicine is psychiatry, but also it's integrated. So if you notice that when you start saying holistic, then people that's one of those, we got to protect them at all costs, because holistic medicine is definitely the medicine that's going to put pharmaceutical companies out of business. And that's big business. And we are in a state or in a nation where our economy depends on certain things and pharmaceuticals is one of their major businesses
in many ways.
Absolutely. So integrative medicine is one of the main things that people are starting to get into now. But they kind of got to shake hands with the devil in the same perspective of, all right, we're gonna prescribe chemical meds, but let's check these things out too, because most of the chemical meds you got to have side effects, so you got to get a med for the med. So in integrative medicine, one of the things that I was learning in that field was that your body, as you say, your body is one mechanism. It's one system. So it's not just the things that we put in our bodies, it's the things that our bodies are missing. If we speak geographically to our heritage, a lot of us, and culturally, a lot of Black people don't do well with dairy. We don't do well with milk. We don't do well with dairy. A lot of us like, oh, that hurt my stomach, ice cream. You want to know why? Because initially, if we date back to our real ancestors, they're from Africa and there were no cows over there.
Facts.
So these are, even though we've expanded to where we are now, these are still foreign to our natural lineage. So
what is that called? Like selective process, a natural selective process. We created the cows versus what we actually meet with the environment created or something like that.
The environment, cows were not a thing in Africa. We had wilder animals. You know what I'm saying? Like, those were not one of the animals. Cows didn't just graze in Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Even now, like certain places now, like Hawaii, stuff like that, they import their things like milk and eggs. And, you know what I'm saying? So us and Asians have always had an issue with breaking down the dairy products. It's always been an issue with us. Prevalent or not, it's always been an issue. So on top of that, you got to look at things like, we live in a nation, in a society where we are extremely spoiled. We have everything at the palm of our hands. We don't have to go outside. You want to know why? Because everything that we want to do outside, we can do it inside the house. If we want to go to a boxing match, we have virtual, we have the TV, all of the things that we can do outside. If you go get your blood work done and you ask them for, let's say, the results on your vitamin levels, your vitamin levels are probably out of whack. Your vitamin D is probably out of whack. Your vitamin C is, you want to know why? Because a lot of the foods that we are eating, they are processed and they are missing those things. So as you said, it's a lot of synthetic and processed and unnatural things being put into our foods. If you look at the statistics from when we were younger.
Well, you okay? You got it.
ADHDs, all of those have increased. ADHD has increased. Food allergies have increased. Though it was not as prevalent when we were younger because our food was real food. Right. ADHD, people don't realize there is a benefit. We say, oh, don't get that baby sugar because it's gonna mess with ADHD. Actually, no, that's not what it is. It's things like we get aluminum poisoning by, like, you know, the little ravioli cans that have that you pop in the microwave. Those are toxic to us. Canned food is toxic to us. How do you think that it's toxic to us? And we ingest that. So those things are now in our body, in our bloodstream, and they affect us. They affect us mentally. As you said, they affect us physically. So we are missing a lot of the things that, like, we drink Sunny D. If you actually look at Sunny D, that is not a good source of vitamin.
That's a toxic concoction there.
It's not and we think it's I drank my orange juice, so now I got my vitamin C. You don't.
Yeah.
And then there's so many other vitamins that we don't look at. So people are actually looking.
It don't even taste like orange juice.
It don't. It does. Horrible, bro.
People are looking at chemical medications as solutions when they should really be looking at vitamin and supplements, because your body naturally produces certain things, and if you're missing them, you're not going to get them replenished with chemical meds that are going to help with the side effects from you missing them. The way to treat it is to incorporate them, increase them. If your levels are supposed to be a certain thing, increase your levels. Don't give me something because I got a headache because my vitamin D is low. You know what I'm saying?
Now what you're doing now is you're so what happened with that with medication now is that I have a pharmacy background, right? So in pharmacy, everybody knows that one medication causes another ailment, right? And then you treat that ailment with something else, and that causes something else. What's happening is that's your body breaking down off from all the medications. So you're now putting yourself even deeper in the hole, just trying to cure a symptom. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can feel comfortable. So you get into that space, Kate. When you were talking about the cows, I was trying to think of what it was called, but it's called natural selection versus artificial selection, right? So what that's saying is that, so the natural selection would be, like you said, the animals and the meat that we have and the plants we had access to and the fibers we had access to in Africa that was normal to our culture, right? But then we're here in the Western, you're dealing with you're dealing with artificial selection now, because now you're breeding cows out of the way to fulfill the hunger that society is giving, that we created around cows. And now what you hear about that though, environment wise, now you're saying there are too many cows and it's causing holes and it's starting to impact the ozone layer just like anything right like that. So you're like, bro, like hold up. Like Clyde and I, we were talking a little bit about the that process of where it like how we're trying to manipulate nature instead of trying to use science to work with nature and figure it out like we did historically in those hundreds of centuries ago. You know what I'm saying? So like even biblically, if you go back and look at some of the earlier literature in Bible, a lot of that stuff was science-based, but it was the most impactful information that we ever had access to. You know what I'm saying? So it's scary because you think about that, like, yeah, we didn't do, and you look at our natural selection versus artificial selection by something like this. Artificial, I'm sure if I can explain it right. Artificial selection would be something like, all right, it was an ancient civilization that wouldn't eat crab. They ate food out of the sea, right? But they would eat certain crabs and certain lobster. But this crab had the face of a samurai, and it was weird. If you look at, you like, this crab don't have it, but you look at it, you like, oh wow, like there is a face of a samurai on here, right? And then you start thinking like, wow, there's so many crabs have this face of a samurai in that particular area because that was artificial selection. Because what they did was if they had a face of a samurai on the shell, they would throw it back into the water, right? And they would eat the ones that didn't have that face on the shell. So once they threw that back, now these with these samurai faces on their shell are now mating and reproducing. So you have no option but to reproduce cells with this same face on. Now historically down the line, you got all these crabs with samurai faces, and you're like, how did that happen? It's not the species, it's the part of the natural selection. So when you look at things like that in that space, you kind of think like, bro, like you start thinking about like people here as a matrix. And when you call it something like that, it completely shuts people out of it. And you're like, no, you don't, in the conversation, you sound crazy. It's a movie, conspiring minds together, blah, 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 whatever, right? But when you actually think about what a matrix is, I was telling Clyde earlier, like the sleep deprivation portion of it is before we had electricity, the real bedtime was 90 minutes after the sun went down, and then you're up 90 minutes before the sun went up. So you can work your land, you can hunt, you can do all this other stuff, you can have energy to go do what you got to do. Electricity was great, but it took away a lot. It threw us off, right? So when I was talking to my wife, when I was telling my wife earlier, we were watching the documentary. I was telling Clyde that, or my wife was like, we were watching the animal documentary on the earth. And she was like, babe, like, how do these animals know in such large scales just move without even talking? Because there's a universal order. There's a law that when you're attached to the earth and when you're attached to your natural living, these things naturally happen. You have no way. The same way you start working out, you start excluding all these toxins and you start feeling better because that's a part of your natural order, right? Clyde, I'm gonna give you a second to hop in, bro. I know you got the delay, so I'm gonna give you a second to hop on this.
So I have a question.
What's up? I'm good.
If we know that the animals are connected to the earth and they move right without talking, right? Mm-hmm. Why do we ignore that part of ourselves?
Because we've been conditioned to do that.
Why do we cling to the why do we? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I know, like we're conditioned to do that, but that was like.
Well, that's because animals don't have ego. Animals don't have, they don't have conscience. They don't have influence. Their influence is different. Our influence is off the opinion of other people.
Other people about
their influence is off survival, and it looks completely different. Because when you hear those people walking around talking about, I don't care what other people think about me, they're doing great, it's because at one point in time somebody thought they were nuts.
That means what they do.
Well, at one point in time, somebody thought they were nuts because they didn't see their vision. Yeah. But now that their vision has come to fruition, and they are flourishing, now all of a sudden they see their vision and they don't look crazy. So now they are the influence. So now where y'all was both in the same place and we was both making $20 an hour, and now you make $25 million an hour, your vision don't look crazy no more. But when we was both making $25 an hour trying to figure out how we was going to pay the electricity bill, you sounded crazy.
Yeah.
But now that you actually did it, now you make sense. You're obtainable now, because if you could do it, I could possibly do it. So a lot of our movement is based off of other people's opinions, based off of other people's experience. We're more influenced by our society than we are by ourselves.
So look, right, I'm gonna add to that, because like that's a perfect explanation of it too, right? But then you go to a space where you go, like, the ego part of it is driven a lot of it too, right? But then the animals know that they aren't the center of the universe. When you look at the space where man is the only thing with a big enough ego to believe that we are the center of a universe, while standing on a grain of rice, going through the, you know what I'm saying, like passing through all this major stuff. You know what I'm saying, like all these stars, all this going on. You're looking at when you look at the equivalence of the Earth to the sun, and you look at the actual Milky Way and see what goes on in that space, bro, you'll realize how small of a part we really play on this planet, in this universe, right? And the part where I'm saying, like, basically we're closed-minded. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're closed-minded and we're looking for safety and we're looking for protection, right? And what I say that is we're looking for comfort. Now that we can go out and go to the market and go grab our food. We ain't gotta go out back and slaughter the cow no more ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that took away, we lost something within that space. When we started to slaughter the cow, at the farm, it took away our natural ability to be out here hunting and go out here and, you know what I'm saying? Like, so now we took away our basic survival skills. So now the majority of the society needs someone to feed them. And now you're starting to hear things of food shortages. But you're like, bro, how is a food shortage, dog, when the earth supplies everything we need? You know what I'm saying? The food shortage comes in because of the process of artificial selection. We figuring out that we cannot maintain this type of society with where things are going with the growth in society. So now you're also hearing things like population control, and they said something like by 2050 they're expecting to the population to be in the world and on the globe to be between 7 and 8.96 billion or 9 billion, something like that, right? But then immediately after that, it's projected to go down almost 1.5 billion people. That's a lot of people, and you kind of figure out, like, how is that possible? Like, how is that going to happen, bro? Like, you think about
COVID again.
Such a situation like they're going to act like COVID, but then you start hearing the things of if people are paying attention, you notice these wildfires now. They're not just on the West Coast now; they're over here in Canada and it's spreading over this way, right? But then you think of what's happening? But now you're hearing the talks of the Biden administration releasing reflective particles into the atmosphere to deflect the sun back into that. So anybody who understand anything about ecosystems, bro, like, will understand that's the most dangerous thing you could play with in our lifetime, right? Because once you start deflecting sunlight away, all right, cool. Everybody knows what the sun is for, right? Everybody, don't have to go into that. But then on the other side of it, what is this reflective material that you put in your air? If we're already having issues with the things that we're ingesting as out of food and they're causing cancer, hey, bro, how does this make sense? Like, how you explain to me, and how do you have this much momentum with something like that without addressing the people? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's getting nervous because it's getting nerve-wracking because we're getting away from real issues, and we're getting further and further away from it because of the divided what we're going in, right? We're gonna hop off of this in 1 second to go in that space. Clyde, what you got, bro?
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing before we go ahead on. That deflecting the heat from the sun and all that ain't for us. That ain't for us, bro. Because we not burnt by the sun. It's the other people.
No,
it's the other people.
What they're saying is that
they get burnt by the sun.
So what they're saying, the explanation is it's to cool the earth, because they're saying that the global warming and things like that, right?
That's what they say.
That's what they're saying.
That's all the smoke screen. They say that. They say that.
So
well, I think it's more along what the overheating is doing. Like, we are having a drought, and I mean, like, water. So we're having a water drought. Our natural springs are drying up. So that is, even if we don't need it to drink, we need it to replenish our planet. You know, our planet uses its own water, just like we have our own, just like the fluids in our body, our planet uses its own water. And if it's not raining, like, we didn't get any, I don't know what area you're in, but we're in Maryland. We didn't get any snow. Maryland is known for snow every single year. We didn't get any snow. It was not that cold this winter.
Mm-mm. It was pretty warm. You're right.
And it wasn't cold here either in Virginia. I'm right in Virginia.
Well, so my family's in Virginia, and the one time, this how I know y'all don't get a lot of snow, because I was out there one time in a snowstorm, and I'm like, it's snowing, and they have it already salted. Maryland, as soon as they say it's gonna snow, it's already salt on the ground.
No, you don't even know it's gonna snow.
Y'all
You
was
just see
trying
the
to put
clouds.
salt on the ground in the thick of the snow, and it was, and that was it. Like, it was a blizzard. It was a blizzard a couple years ago.
Right.
But yeah, so these things are causing a drought. But let me tell you what they're also doing. These things are changing the chemicals in our atmosphere. Regardless, they're changing the chemicals in our air. Again, this is our environment. It's like being in a sauna. When you go in a sauna, all that steam, all that heat, it causes a reaction in your body, correct? Your body naturally releases sweat. Sweat is to cool your body down.
Yep.
When that happens, so let's think of, so if something in the air can pull something out of you to protect itself, what are we going to use for that right there? If it's something synthetic, because sauna air, all that is just hot air. But if they're putting something to, what is our body? How is our body going to react to protect us? That's a foreign object. We aren't going to know how to react. Do we cry? Do we spit? Do we, like, where our body is going to be unknown. So that when you said, how are they going to reduce? That's exactly how they're gonna do it. That's the way that I'm thinking, because if you're introducing foreign objects into our atmosphere, our body is not going to know how to respond. And again, that's when only the strongest will survive. The strongest bodies will be the ones that will make it through. The weaker bodies, they will have no defense against this, and so it's going to look like how it's going to look.
It's going to look similar to COVID during the next go around, because they said that next go around is not going to, it's going to be more directed at the kids. You know what I'm saying? And that's the scary part about it. But if you look at, like, the argument to that is, anybody knows that the amount of green space that we have now is being wiped out. So if you're worried about the warming of the earth, the most logical thing to do now is to plant more trees and build buildings around forests instead of knocking shit down, eliminating the shade and things like that, and then replacing it with 11-story, 30-story buildings that absorb heat. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's that space, man. When you got like who's running, like who's in charge, really? Because it's making it look like that. You got a bunch of smart people now following morons, bro, and their agenda is off. And if you just stop for a second, a lot of the things that we see in life and we deal with are distractions from what's really going on. Nobody realizes that, right? Because we're too stressed out to even think about, like, nobody realized, man, that, like, everybody woke up one day and said, hey, bro, I'm not going to work today. That's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, what they going to, everybody can't pay their bills. What they going to do? They going to come shut it down? No, but we live in a society that's built off of fear. Right? Because knowing that, okay, if I don't have money, how am I going to feed my child? Thank God my grandfather taught me how to grow food, taught me how to deal with animals, taught me how to, like, that. Like, I have Native American. I'm not just saying it because I'm Black. I'm saying that I really have Native American. I have Caucasian in my blood. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff, man, I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of this stuff I've been taught how to do, and it's not hard. You just have to put the effort into knowing it. But we live in a society that's so lazy that we don't like to think for ourselves. We need somebody to protect us. And when you're looking for a safe society, you deserve to lose your freedom. You know what I'm saying? Because in all actuality, brother, nobody can protect you from life. If a hurricane come out, this motherfucker has been shown time and time, the government can't save your ass. You know what I'm saying? They can give you a grant and relocate your ass, bro, but they can't protect you. They try to figure out where to go, just like we are. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely. We are influenced by the wrong things. Like I said, we're influenced by the wrong things. We, like, even with a hurricane, we buy these brand new, expensive, shiny houses, and as soon as the wind blow, they're done for. Give me the old house with the brick foundation that used to have a bomb shelter underneath of it. That's 100 years old. And let me spend the extra money on the materials to make it look homey as I want to, but it's going to be safe as hell.
Exactly.
But we're so concerned that, that house look old and I want this new development. I mean, we're so influenced by the wrong things.
We are, man. It's scary because we really are that sheep. You know what I'm saying? We really are that. And like, when you look in the Bible, we're talking about sheep, and he's like, why are we called sheep? If you really know anything about sheep, bro, these motherfuckers dumb. they go with the crowd. They go, you know what I'm saying? They need somebody to herd them, that put them and take them to a place of safety, take them to a place to drink proper waters to where they can drink without drowning, still water, because they can't drink flowing water because that water get caught in that wall and they get top heavy and drown, right? So when you look at stuff like that, that's kind of the same equivalent that we have in today's society. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna say this real quick. And I'm gonna say we keep changing the earth, right? And as humans, as mankind, we keep changing the earth, and everything around us is showing that it's having a detrimental effect. Now you have elephants walking through major cities, bro. Herds of elephants, and you're killing them because they walking through. They doing what they've naturally been groomed to do, and you killing them because now what? Like it don't make sense.
They inconveniencing you.
and think about this though. Think about this, right? And we so concerned with the environment, bro. We've been since I was in high school. We've been picking up dog shit and putting it in plastic bags. What are they saying about plastic in the ocean? So what do you know about the ecosystem and waste? What happens? It goes back and it becomes a part of society and it regenerates and stuff for something beneficial, right? But now you're putting that shit in bags where it don't decay for over 20, 30, 40 years before it even starts to break down. Like none of this stuff makes sense to me. And then we sit back and we try to figure out like where all these illnesses are coming from. Like we're being led by people who don't know shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that want you in a space of need. Like all these things are now coming to a head to where you see, like I said, the universal law is not going to stop for man and all kinds. And if it has to, it's going to do what it did back in Pompeii. You know, like back when the dinosaurs disappeared. Like you got all these civilizations that disappeared and there's no explanation. How about maybe the world said that the earth said, you know what, we need to cleanse ourselves of these viruses. Mm-hmm. But so I'm gonna hop over that. We got a little deeper than that one, but
that's what the earth is doing.
Go ahead, Clyde.
I believe the earth is cleansing itself for real.
Hey, like when you start,
that's all I was gonna say. I was just gonna say I believe the earth is cleansing itself.
So what happens what happens to your body when you have a virus? It heats up, right? You have a fever, it's your body heating up. They're trying to cool down the earth. Why do you think they heat the earth and who's heating up? We're a reflection of our universe. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I ain't gonna hop into that right now. We're gonna go into the other side of it. We're gonna go into just breaking down and say, man, this conversation is to bring light of like how out of order that we may possibly be. And you don't have to agree. If you take the time to look it up and just do an inch of research, a dab of research, you will see that, oh, wait a minute. Like something going on. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna learn something new and learn how to move differently within yourself, right? But the same thing applies to our relationships and how we interact with each other as far as our friends, our family, our wives, our spouses, our husbands, I call them spouses, but then you get your girlfriend, your boyfriend, and all these other things, and your kid. Bro, like when you think about we're totally out of order when you hear some of the conversation that we're having, and understandably so, right? Because everybody's been in a space where we've been kind of traumatized, and you got to have your head on a swivel, and you kind of watch out. And then we all know the worst case scenarios within relationships, marriages, and things like that when you're dealing with dog people, right? This conversation isn't about dog people. We're not talking about the people that we know out here that have no interest in being good. But we're talking about like, bro, like, or no interest in. They don't have no morale. We're talking about the bulk of civilization, of people that have good morale, kind-hearted, but they can't because of the distractions that are thrown our way. And one of the things that's killing me, number one thing that killed me for relationship is when you hear somebody that say they're turning their back on their family because they're not on their level, right? And then you think about like, bro, like, hold up, like levels don't mean shit because where you're going, that guy probably already, he may not have been exactly in that position, but he can probably tell you how to move through something that you do. But you're on your ego and your high horse by saying like, new season, new level, new me, new friends, bro. And I mean, in the meantime, you putting yourself in position of the lion, of the wolf, right? And now you out here with nobody having your back genuinely. And now you hear all these people questioning if anybody have any good intentions. No, people having good intentions, but how are we carrying ourselves to make sure that we go into that space? And like I talked about last time, it was love, bro. Like if you go down and you look across any religious text or material, the definition of love is clear. It's graceful. You know what I'm saying? Like it's merciful. Like it's not in a space where you sitting back and you saying you ain't on my level, I gotta go. It's not in a space where you understanding what a man is saying, what a man is telling the woman that what she bringing to the table ain't enough. And it's not enough to say the woman saying what he bringing to the table ain't enough. Like, bro, people are getting away from the fact that motherfucker, let's set this table together and go from there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that what we're hearing in the media a lot, man, is kind of swaying this new age marriage that we're saying when nobody's being really successful in marriage. And when being married, the amount of work that it takes and the hard part of marriage, it isn't what people talk about. they say it's hard, but they don't go into detail. So I think it's funny how the order of that is off, because when you go back, man, you think about our grandparents, you hear a lot of our grandmothers that were in situations that weren't happy. They told the next generation, like, hey, like, just don't, make sure you don't live in this space, right? But understanding, like, yes, that's true, but what did it cost us? You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not saying in the space of like no deal with that. It's saying like, okay, what were they talking about for men and women? Okay, men, what did the men back then do to the women that made them so uncomfortable? And then how can I put what I have now into this and making it work, right? And it's the same thing vice versa for the women. Looking at it from the perspective of them, saying, like, okay, what went wrong amongst the women, amongst the men? Where they talking about where they going, where things go wrong, and how can we fix that? If everybody moved in a space of genuineness of being who they are, these conversations that we've had wouldn't exist today. We all know to stay away from the bad person. We all know that everybody ain't for us, right? But when you get into that space of what dating look like, the way dating isn't the way it's supposed to look like. I think, my opinion now, right, being married, being the age of 40, I have a totally different perspective on the dating world, right? I would say that, like in your 20s and things like that, that's when you out there and I don't get in a relationship. You out there, you finding your love. You finding what you like. You finding what you don't like. Don't commit to anybody, because in that space, both men and women, we've both done tremendous harm in that phase of figuring ourselves out, right? So if you go into a space where you see these guys, I had some friends, man, that are brutally honest. They didn't want no relationship early on. Yes, people got hurt, but the hurt was different because the person was honest. You know what I'm saying? It was more like, well, I was expecting something, but you told me that what it was going to be, and it ain't my fault that I missed that. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at how things are now, you hear the arguments of women, and a lot of women say like, well, he don't bring in what I bring in, so I ain't looking his direction. All right, cool, baby. What if this guy that you overlooking because of his salary? This guy might have $1 billion idea. Well, all he needs is you to go is collect with, and then the way women historically has done men anyway, like women has always doubled anything you put in front of their face. So now you take off that, all right, for the right person now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take that space off and you go into a space where you say, all right, babe, what's your plan? All right, I'm gonna see. As long as you're working, I'm gonna rock you. I got you. And you take your space off and you're being merciful. You're not judging. You're not convicting off of mistakes and things like that. You're going to a space you wouldn't be in a space of judging. And we all are guilty of that space of judging and acceptance, because we go into that selfish space of saying that's not, he don't have all the teeth in the back of his mouth. you know what I'm saying? Like, right, her big toe stick up sideways. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the stuff that we look at, man, is costing us majorly, man. You can look at it just now generation with the amount of single parents. I wish that I would have had an understanding of life before I went and did what I did. Although I had good intentions of creating a family at a young age, I didn't know that with things outside of that I couldn't control. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that love wasn't enough. So that for me, because you may love somebody with all your heart, but there's no guarantee that person is going to love you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times we get into a space where we see the sign that this person isn't meant for us, but we choose to say, no, we can change this person. No, give me 2 more. But there's some things in life that when you see if this man snapped on your ass for walking out in a skirt that he didn't agree of, and he talked to you disrespectfully, man, you might want to check this dude's temperature. You might want to see what he's like in all seasons. You know what I'm saying? Before you make a decision and say, I love this guy, and giving him the obligations that wives give their husband. Vice same with men. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just getting to a space where I feel like, man, like, we're so out of order that the mental impact that we see, the mental implications that we see today is not just coming from one place. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you think about the relationship that we have. Yes, we have trauma, but I was talking to Paul the other day, and we were talking about, man, like, we always hit a conversation and you starting to hear men say like, there's no women protecting black men, right? And then you hear women say there's no men protecting the black women, but that's false. That's not true. You know what I'm saying? Because he brings some shit my way, bro. I'm dying for my baby mother, my wife, my mother, everybody, anybody, my friends, anybody in my space. I know every man in my circle would do the same thing. So I would watch the video of Charleston, what's his name, White, when he was talking about that. When you say you cannot tell me about that man you've been married to for 30 years. Tell me about that man you dated. But you can't say nothing about all men because environment impacts growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're in a space where we're watching our kids commit suicide. We're watching our kids go out here and hop on drugs. We see these kids going out here and these kids ain't doing nothing for money. They doing it for attention now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you like, bro, like, take a stop back and look and see, and you see where we're going wrong, and you understand, like, bro, what's up, Louis, baby? How you feeling, dog? So, Louise, man, how you feeling, dog? So, man, it's in that space, bro, where you sit back and you look, and we're not living the way we're supposed to be, just looking at love. You know what I'm saying? Just think about that for a second.
Well, let's back up to what examples there are for that. So you have to start there. You know, society doesn't look like it looked in our grandparents' times.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, conflict and resolution don't look like what they look like in our grandparents' time.
Mm-hmm.
2, resources did not look the same in our grandparents' time.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking at what our issues are currently, so let's keep it clear.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our issues in our relationship is compatibility. It is finances, because you said what they bring to the table. These are the subjects that people bring up: compatibility, finances, and attachment styles. And communication.
Mm-hmm.
So if these are the things that are needed for the relationship, there's roots to places that you got to start with when it comes down to it. Because if my need in compatibility is XYZ and you're capable of it, but that's never been communicated to you, so your perception of it is, okay, so if her need in compatibility is that we both laugh at the same jokes, then I'm gonna laugh at the joke even if I don't find the joke funny. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts.
Because I want to be compatible to her, as opposed to if she's laughing at this joke, and now mind, this is very, very minute, but if she's laughing at that joke and that joke's not funny to me, our compatibility ain't good. Now I'm only using jokes, but I mean just sources incompatibility. If you know that you're incompatible with someone, and I mean, and that's in all facets, like y'all can't communicate, you cannot, your dreams don't match up, your goals don't match up, none of the things, the way that you want to raise kids don't match up, what you want to do doesn't match up, the way that you communicate doesn't match up. We're taught, and so this is me coming from a female perspective. It's the double standard of society anyways for females, because despite we don't want to be, I remember the last show I got on of yours, the first thing you said was, you're such a strong Black female.
No,
and I
said, well, I corrected it though, remember, because I was like, I know y'all hate to hear that.
So it's not I hate to hear it, it is that being told that and being accepted in that are two different things. Because when you if it starts from rearing, I shouldn't have to be reared as a strong Black or as a strong female. I should just have to be reared as a female. I should have to be reared in my role as a female, whatever that looks like. And you should have to be reared in your role as a male. But what you say, when the environment starts to get messed up, then now you have people living in survival mode. They're clashing. Your survival mode is incompatible to my. Our compatibilities, all those things that I named, they're not based off of those things. They're based off of trauma. Now they're based off of trauma. They're based off of, what did you say? Fear. They're based off of environmental selectiveness. All of them are now based off the wrong thing. So while you have these good ideas and these good goals and these good morals and these good standards, now where they used to be based off of something that was relevant, now they're based off of something that is something completely different. And so it's so difficult when two people, and I don't just mean romantically, because even just like you said, with family, villages look different. You used to say things like, it takes a village to raise a child. I absolutely still believe in that. And that's not as a single mother, that's as a human.
Mothers for people, period. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it looks different. It looks different with you, the children with your wife, than it looks with the children with your with your baby mother. You want to know why? Because when you need a break, your children with your baby mother, they get to leave, but the children with your wife, there's no break.
Yeah.
There's no break. So it
Yeah.
looks different when the circumstances are different. But if
Mm-hmm.
you had a village, then you would still be able to get a break because there would be somewhere to go, for
Yeah.
those kids that are always with you to go. But that's not the way society runs nowadays. Everybody's exhausted. Everybody's burnt out. Everyone's drained.
And we
Everyone
turning on
wants
each
to.
other. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to turn to because now again society looks different. Women work now as opposed to when our grandparents were young or were our age. They were able to take the load off our parents because our grandma was at home.
Mm-hmm.
Nah,
And
grandma
there wasn't no
nowadays
daycare. We weren't paying $1,000 a month for daycare. You know what I'm
grandma
saying?
nowadays work. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Grandma works nowadays.
But
So I mean, things just look completely different. It is so hard to have a functional relationship with the outside sources, the outside noise, just with the outside things that are taking place. It's so hard to have a functional relationship.
yeah. What you got, Clyde? That delay is real. You
It's
good,
driving me
Clyde? You good,
crazy,
baby?
bro.
Good.
I hop in. Keep on talking, y'all.
Yeah,
Keep
bro.
on talking. I'm about to try to do something with this. I gotta try to
You
do
got
something with this
headphones
internet
on?
or something. I'm gonna try to move.
Well, we can
Huh?
hear you.
We can hear you. We can hear you fine.
You're good.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not the land no more. Okay.
Not that bad. No.
She talking about not that bad. That means it's still doing it a little bit.
Now we kind of
It's
figured out to
tripping
kind
me
of
out
give
though,
a
because
little bit
my
more
screen
time to
freezing
music.
as.
I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead. You got it.
Nah, y'all go ahead. Y'all good, man.
Go ahead, Clyde.
I ain't even gonna. Huh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Y'all keep talking, man. I'm gonna hop in.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to what I was saying. So
because I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was just texting my family, because I'm going through something right now. So I was just checking on my family. So I kind of ain't heard everything.
Yeah,
but that's
that's understandable. Okay, there's been some stuff going on, man. So he definitely I understand where you at, bro. Ain't no. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I go ahead and tell her. No, I'm saying.
Go ahead.
I can go ahead and tell her. No, I'm saying my little cousin got killed.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
My little cousin and her boyfriend. Yeah, my little cousin and her boyfriend got killed. So kind of dealing with that right now.
Wow, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Sorry to hear that, bro. You already know, man.
It's so difficult. It's so difficult. People it's just the no regards for life, and just people don't realize like you said, if people were just genuine and just were considerate and graceful and just, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's so much going on these days, but that all of those are reasons for why your relationships with people need to be solid. Like you need at this point in time, your relationship with your family, I don't bang with my family because such and such and they not on my level. Yeah, but that's the only family that you really gonna have. Yeah. Like you could create whatever bystanding family that you want to, but like they don't share your bloodline. Like they're not you're part of their legacy. And it does get to a space where sometimes you do have to, and this is again all relationships, sometimes you do have to take a step back for your own peace, because I said it before, when it's time to save, you got when the air thing comes down in the airplane, they say put yours on first, then save your child. You got to be in that frame of mind sometimes with people, because everyone that's there for you is not for you.
Facts.
It could be whatever relationship they have, is a friend, foe, family, fiance, wife, boyfriend. They're there for you, but like, what is their motive? Why are they there for you? What is their purpose for you? And that's the things that you should be looking to dive into. Like, not what can they bring to the table? What can what are they here for? Because if you're with someone and they don't make you better in an aspect, every day, and I don't mean every day you got better because of this person.
Challenge me, at least challenge me to be better.
I mean that if this year, let's say you, bro, like if this year was an easier year for your mental health because your wife understood that from last year, certain things had to be readjusted, realigned, and repositioned, and she did that for you. Maybe every day she didn't do a check-in, but if she made this year better than last year because she knew that last year there was things that you needed for you, then bro, that's for you. You know what I'm saying? And people don't, that's the work that people don't want to put in. They don't want to dig into it. But you know, the thing is, you have to also be willing to come to bring some of that out yourself. You have to also be willing to go back and say, I can't pin it all on my partner. I can't, you know, how is it that, you know, I have all these expectations for my partner, and a lot of our expectations for our partner, we don't express. And that's where we go wrong.
Yeah,
we have these silent expectations. My fiance recently told me, it should be second nature. You should just know it. I said, babe, I should be accustomed to this. We've been doing certain things, but at the end of the day, I'm not saying that I don't know it or it doesn't come second nature because I don't care. It's because I still got a plate full of other stuff. So give me the grace that my intentions are well with you, even if I can't perform right there. But guess what you did? Guess what I did do today? Guess what today happened? You ate. You had a hot bath. You know what I'm saying? We had a great conversation. I'm sorry I didn't bring balloons. I didn't know you needed balloons today, babe. All you had to do was tell me, babe, listen, I'm feeling like, you know, my fiance spoils me. And he spoils me with gifts, with love, like with all the things. All my friends are like, oh God, he's great. But me, I need you on the days, like I told you before, today not a good day.
Yeah.
I need you to, I need that even though I kind of lash out, give me the grace that that's not my norm. And don't fight fire with me today because it's not going to go well for us tomorrow.
I'm feeling
all right. If you know today is my bad day, dial your reaction back.
Hey, hold on one second. Hey, Clyde, that was on time, bro. What you do?
Huh?
You coming on time, man. You on time.
Oh, I moved closer to my Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved. I was in the back of the house, so I just moved closer to the internet box.
Nice.
Okay. But Kate, you brought up a good point, man, because at the end, when I'm getting out of all of that, right, like, let's take it beyond relationships, right? Like, we all in a space, and a lot of relationships, we go into a space where we go into, like we trying to prove who got a harder fight, right? But when you're looking at society, right, just even outside of our race, right? When you go on a Hispanic and you go to Asian and you go on and on and on, right? Like, I was talking to my buddy in space. I was talking to Paul online the other day. We were talking about like and black women and black men specifically on the argument of nobody's protecting me, right? But those pictures, man, when you see that woman with her hand over that shotgun, the police holding in front of that black man, those questions wasn't acting. And if you already knew, you automatically assumed and you knew that, hey, oh no, I broke my man down. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what we're doing, man, we're talking about things before we even get to a space. So even with like the Hispanic and black people are closer than they realize, but they have the most beef, right? And it's weird because you're like, bro, we got the same goddamn battle, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you sit in that space where, like me, I'm that friend or that associate, man. If I walk past and you getting your ass whipped by 5 motherfuckers, oh, all right, you just got one extra person helping your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, and always, because that's the space where you don't got to question if I got your back. If you're questioning if I got your back off of circumstances like money or things in that space, man, you got the game fucked up because nothing genuine involves money. Unless you're giving the gift. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing genuine in that space involves money and relationships in that space, right? And that's where we get conflicted because it goes back into a society of chasing the bag and side-eyeing, right? And like money's great, right? But money is really the root of all evil. Yeah. Because if you take it back to before money or before money became such a huge factor and we got this greed factor, man. Matter of fact, fuck all that. Let's take it back to pre 9/11, and bro, everybody was coming together. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody was vibing. But somebody got scared about that. And 9/11 happened. And then you start hearing the divide come from people with saying, well, let's not attack that space, right? Let's not do this because let's not attack violence with violence and all that other stuff going on. But then you got the other side of it where like whatever influence in that direction, it took us to war, right? And the reason that we went to war, bro, you find out 4 or 5 years later that none of that shit was true. But now what happened? What happened was the benefit of whoever's in control, because now you have the divide. And since that happened, they've had their foot on the gas and dividing. You've had vaccination divide. You had household divide. You have friendship divide. You had, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at that space, man, we're all in the space of like, at the end of the day, if you know the history of this country, we will know that we all got it bad down to the fucking Italians. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and on top of it, even with the division, the reason why, if we're honest with each other, the reason why Blacks and Hispanics are constantly at wit's end and they always have these differences of opinions is because, unfortunately, we are in competition of who's the better out of the lowers. Because let's keep it. No.
I like that. You're right.
Let's keep it a stack. This joint don't love none of us. They're one of us. But here's the thing. We'll sit and be like, don't call me no N-word if you're not an N-word. And they're like, don't call me no punta if you're not a, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you want to know why? Because you're scum, I'm scum, but you don't get to be better scum than me. Like, we are but it's not just that. We are in competition inside of our own cultures. We've got the fact that we have tiers of Black people. You know, you got Black people, Negroes, niggas, you know, like the fact that there's tiers created within that. You know, you have the suburbans, you got the ghetto ones, you got the ratchets, like the fact that there's tiers embedded in that. And this is the things that causes division in our relationships. Black men and Black women are in competition with each other. You want to know why? Because there are statistics. We won't say whose statistics they are, but there are statistics that put us in competition. Black women are more educated than Black men. You know what I'm saying? Statistically speaking, Hispanics are lower on the poverty level than even, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's these things that are incorporated. And so,
even who work harder.
We're fighting for status and respect in a culture and a society that wouldn't regard us, that we didn't come over here like that, number one. And two, now we got to fight for those things in our household, as opposed to knowing, like, when I come inside these doors, I don't have to worry. I can leave my pride and my ego out there, because even on my worst day, my significant other, my kids, they love me without condition. They love me without circumstances. They love me on the good days. They love me on the bad days, on the days when I look crazy because my depression is setting, on the days when I want to be left alone, on the days when I just fussed, and they give me the grace of saying she had a hard day instead of saying she's an angry Black woman. We are in conflict and we're in competition with ourselves, within our communities, within ourselves. And that's why we are divided. That's why our families are divided. I'm not going over there and messing with so-and-so and her uptight bougie self. Yo, that's your sister. What you mean? You're not going over there. You just called your sister all them things. That's literally your sister. Go over there and make sure your sister good. Like, she worked hard. Working hard meant that she's tired. Did you go check on her today? Did you make sure that all that, just because she got money and her house is bigger, but she don't have no kids and no husband, did you go make sure she wasn't lonely today? Like, we're not looking at that. We are so busy looking at competing with ourselves and that we are losing focus on the love. We are losing focus on the relationship. We are losing focus on the family. We are losing focus on the ties on the loyalty, on even the thought of all those things. We are losing focus there.
No, I agree, man. Clyde, you got something you want to say?
I definitely agree about the division, and it goes even further than outside of the community. It goes like with the whole world, for real. That's like, it's division amongst races. Like, you got the rich versus the poor. Like, even just think about in the community, like, with Christianity. Just take Christianity for instance. It's even division within the church. You got Baptist, you got Kojic, you got Zygon, you got Presbyterian, you got Catholic, you got all these different religions. I mean, these different divisions within a one, like, so we can't even agree on which God is real. Like, so
you know what's crazy about that, Clyde? You know what's crazy about that, man? When you look at the literature of all, if anybody took the time to study religion, right? Not even religion. Like if you just took down to study a specific religion and you took to the content, you will see that in the Quran, they talk about Eve the same way they talk about it in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you will see that the ideals for love crosses all text all the way across. The divide just comes from us. It ain't because it's written. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's
if you
written,
took the time
it's written and then it was separated. That's it.
And then it was separated by name.
But if we stop dividing, and if you took people from every walk of life and every religion and they came together, they would see that they all kind of believed the same thing. It was just written differently and split up.
Well, if we take away the terms of the option, we would realize that there's only one solution, and it is together. If you stop calling me black and start calling me woman, and you stop calling her Hispanic and start calling her woman, when you cut us open, both of us bleed red.
Bleed the same color.
You know what I'm saying? It is literally, if you once the options in the division are taken away, and there you realize that like there's only one way, and that's the human way. You know, and I said it to my fiance all the time. Like, listen, like. I told you, I think I said this to you before, like the one of the biggest issues with males is that we use the words human, amen, human. So these are things that we praise, but we take away, a hue is something that has multiple shades, multiple, life paths. So amen is human. And on top of that, that means that he comes or she comes with multiple layers to her. So when we take away her ability to be sad and make that into her, or lonely and make that into her being angry, or we take away his ability to be distressed and his ability to do a human trait like cry or be sad or be soft. Like we are taking the hue from the man. We are literally removing the hue from the man. We are removing the humanity from the human. And this is where we start to break down mentally. Because what do we do? If I'm not allowed to be human, then what do I do? What am I allowed to do? And now you start to lose focus on why you're here. Mm-hmm. Do you belong here? Mm-hmm. And should I go? And because there's so many options, especially for our kids, when you were talking about suicide, there's so many options. There's so much information that's being fed to them. There's so much materialistic and unrealistic expectations that they are feeling. And because they have all this plethora of information, that's either real, fake, or fabricated. Mm-hmm. That they are looking at the fabricated, because the fabricated is lustrous. Mm-hmm. We got filters, mm-hmm. we have recordings, we have editing, all those things. These kids really believe that YouTuber yesterday was living in the hood, now he live in the mansion. Do you realize that's a span of 6 years? You know, when them cameras went off, the lights we didn't see them record for 4 days, but the lights might have been off. Mm-hmm. But it's easy to edit that part out because all we see is the next show. Yeah. But when you get in your household and you remember that the next show is the show going on right now, and you got all these expectations of what life was supposed to look like, and you with your partner, and your partner thought that's what life was supposed to look like, and y'all both got a misconception about what life really is, y'all start clashing, y'all start competing, y'all start being combative.
So go deeper with that too, right, Kay? Because in that space, like let's go from. So I know for me, right, like I had it like. I've grew up like yearning for love, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like, so although I was exposed to certain things and had the same opportunity to express certain things, like I was always, they used to clown me. They used to be like, hey, bro, hey, you're a pussy whip. You know what I'm saying? Like mm-hmm. You green, your nose wide open, you a lover boy, all this other stuff. There was a reason I moved that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, and moving in that space, it made me question, like, damn, like I was that guy that dreamed of a marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see my wife walking down towards me at 15. You know what I'm saying? So getting into that
You
space.
was crying, wasn't you?
Huh?
You was one that was crying.
I was crying. I ain't crying my wedding, but I pulled it back for a second.
Crying in the car though.
No. But no, man, like, because when you think about it, right? Like, I remember thinking, like, one day, man, like, I was going through my relationships with my kids' moms. I remember when I was driving, man, I was crying, like, damn, like I want to be married. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to find my wife, but I want to find the right person. And I remember back in the day, my grandmother told me, like, while I was in a situation, she was like, Devin, like, are you in love? I was like, yeah, I love her. She was like, do you feel like she loves you? And I was like, I mean, yeah. And she was like, why do you, can you tell me why she loves you? I couldn't say anything. So my grandmother stepped back and she was like, baby, you need somebody who's going to treat you like a king. And I'm not just saying that for you because you're your grandmother. Somebody that loves you will accept you for your wrongs. Somebody that will accept you for who you are and all that other stuff, right? So it's not that kind of work. You don't battle yourself mentally the way you're battling yourself. And that hit me because it was like, man, like, so it hit me in a space where I got you in my space of life. I've never been like a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? I've never like dogged women out. I've never cheated like crazy or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I've always
just a little bit. I'm joking.
You know what I'm saying? But at the times when I did, it was in relation to trauma that I realize now, because it was in that space where I didn't want to leave because I was in love, but the things that were transpiring within that relationship was showing me that the other person was long gone. You know what I'm saying? So when you, as a man, when you're dealing with that, like, I remember the direct emotions that I've had leaving my daughter mother, my first one, right? That situation, even at 21, 22, I cried. I had to fight myself. I had to run from that shit and I look back because it wasn't good for me and I wanted to stay, right? But that my quality of life was bad. I was being reminded, I was doing everything I could in my power and to make things right. And it wasn't enough because of the fantasy of a father that this person had, right?
Right.
And when you look at it on the other end, I was moving in my space because of the fantasy that I had of a woman.
Right.
And not knowing, you know what I'm saying? So instead of realizing what it actually is,
yes,
required to maintain that. You know what I'm saying? So when I sit back, I look at my grandparents, on both sides, right? Especially my mom's side, the adopted side, right? It's in a space where my grandfather showed me how to love a woman. My grandmother showed me how to love a man, right? In a space where it was just like I remember I was probably about 9 years old and my grandfather farted loud. I was on the bottom of the bed watching TV, me and my brother. And we got up, we were laughing, looked around. My grandmother was like, shh. And she right under the covers with him, right? So I'm like, what? But she like, he got to work in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So just seeing that at that young age, it was like me, like, damn, like, okay, like my grandfather did that shit stinks. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother is sitting here just like this, watching TV and told us to be quiet because she didn't want to wake him up because he had to go to work in the morning. And so did she, though. You understand what I'm saying? So it's, when you sit back and you look at what's giving and what's taking and what's moving around, relationships aren't fantasy. Relationships are you dealing with the person you are right in front of you. You can't make this person do no more or no less than you want them to be. Now, if you decide to get married and then you figure out 4 or 5 years down the road that this person that you married ain't moving how you want to move, you should have made a decision before you got married. And now you have to honor your covenant and work through that space. And that's the hard part of marriage, right? Because society tells us today when you're not happy, you leave. Society tells us today if you don't feel love, you leave. Society tells us today if you're not getting anything you need from this person, then you leave. But nobody tells you that, bro. What if you've been sick? What if you were taking care of this man for 10 years, right? And then 2 years after he gets well, you get sick. And that man got to take care of your ass for the rest of your life or vice versa. You robbing yourself of companionship and true love. When I heard somebody say something one day, they said it was an older person and it was on a video. I cannot remember the video I was watching. It was a while back. But this couple said something, but the guy said something as, if my wife died today, I don't miss what she done for me. I miss her. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you putting yourself in a position, man, where you take that and you put that across every relationship. What you got, bro? What you got, Clyde?
I'm about to say I agree, man, but I don't at the same time because, like you said, man, if I get married today, then I'm going over where we at right now. If 5 years from now things change and we grow apart, I'm fine with letting go because I'm not gonna put me or her. I'm not gonna put for real though. I'm not gonna put me or her through resentment anymore if we don't grow apart because people do grow apart and that's okay.
So,
but if I stay, I'm actually doing more harm than good.
I'm gonna give you a second, Cat. I got you. Give me a second, right? But Clyde, I see where you're coming from because I used to think the same thing, right? Pre-marriage, right? And even going through marriage counseling, I had to take some.
And I ain't talking about the simple stuff either. My bad.
No, I'm not talking about.
I ain't talking about the simple stuff either.
No. I mean, we're talking about the hard stuff, right? But one thing that we fail to realize in life as human beings going through life, you're always growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so once you get to a space of marriage, what I mean by that is, like, if you look at the true definition of what a marriage is supposed to withstand that test. Bro, you get married to a motherfucker, bro, you don't like your mother half the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but you still have that relationship with her. So I look at it as love. When you love somebody, especially when you love a woman to that magnitude where you decide to marry them, you don't love that woman the same way you love your mother, but it's similar. You know what I'm saying? Because now in this space, it ain't nothing this woman can do to you that other than the things that say in most religious texts that says as far as adultery. You know what I'm saying? As far as like there are other I think it's 3 other ones I couldn't tell you at the back of my head without reading, but I'm telling you, like, in that space, man, where like we're talking about leaving somebody now for normal processes in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what your responsibility, what I feel now within that space with honoring your covenant is that's the part that God is asking you to withstand. That's the work right there. That's the part we're saying, like, God is, hey, you're gonna look at this motherfucker and you be like, I can't stand your ass. Don't let nobody touch you though. You know what I'm saying? We can just get into a big ass argument and we going back and forth, find each other up. But let me step outside this house and let somebody say something sideways to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, in that space, because now you come into a space where you're coming off the space where marriage require a level of unselfishness that you've never done single. You know what I'm saying? That you've never even known existed. And that part is now that you decide to marry somebody, now you're deciding to become one and coexist with that person that's not like you at all. So that part right there, man, is a piece where that is your challenge for patience, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because now, like, when you put yourself in a position like you right? Like, when you think about it from your perspective right now, and I was there, you think about it like, man, if you ain't making me happy, I'm out. But bro, what if you happy?
I ain't thinking about.
No. I'm saying we've seen that space where she felt like she's outgrown you. So now she got to be in a position of waiting for you to come to a space, and you're gonna find that space is going like this every 5 to 7 years. So that's why you see what people say most marriages don't make 5 years, because bro, that's the growth point that people go every 5 years, every 7 years, every 10 years. You change completely from who you are. My wife and I are in marriage counseling right now, right? And I'm not afraid to admit that, because the trauma that was induced on her end from me getting sick, right? So I sit back, bro, and watch, like, you know what? My wife has been everything that I thought she was. She's the woman I prayed for, right? And now at a time where I get well, the time when I'm working, I feel like I found myself again. Like, it gets to a space where I'm starting to see where the pressure that she's been carrying and where she got tired at. So now I'm dealing with the impacts of her being tired, right? So the things that she say, the things that she do, yeah, it hurts sometimes, right? But then on the other side of it, I understand, like, damn, like, okay, let me take it off myself and how I feel right now. How the fuck she feel for them 10 years when I was sick, when she was crying? Why is she giving me this? Why is she doing this energy where she feel like she only has her? And I think about, like, although it wasn't done intentionally, it still had a traumatic endpoint on a woman that is supposed to not be a provider. A woman's role is to provide. So no matter how that looks for me, not can be justified in saying, like, you hurt my feelings. What you said was ignorant or whatever, right? Not saying it happened. I'm just saying in general cases, like, if I take it off of me and go back into this space, okay, what was she feeling when I was in that psych ward? What was she feeling when I was out here taking all my money and buying weed and all that other stuff, not giving a damn what I had, because I was concerned about how I felt. It's 10 years later and she's still here. So I'm not mad in a space where I'm like when I'm in a space with saying, like, all right, I could have easily been in a space, you gonna give me this attitude? Fuck it. I ain't gonna make it work. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the most challenging thing of my marriage, is dealing with this mental illness part, because in my mind, I was doing everything I could to get better for her and the kids, right? And then I get better. And now I'm starting to see that she's so tired that I don't know if we can make it anymore. And in a space where it's not that she don't want to make it, it's not that I don't want to make it, it's in a space like, bro, when you reach a level of tiredness, my biggest fear when I was sick was my wife saving me from something, but it caused her to go into a space that she got me out of. You understand what I'm saying? So when you look at it in a space like that, bro, you take it off of that, you realize that marriage is never 100-100. It's never 50-50. It's hardly ever in the same space at the same time. But we have a misconception of thinking like, bro, when you married, you're supposed to feel good. No, you don't. You don't. And a lot of times, bro, you listen to Michelle Obama
No.
speak, she said for 10 years she didn't like Obama. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at my grandmother said, "Oh no, we had our problems, but I loved him." You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's the same thing with your kids.
So
like
everything,
if you love your spouse, if you love it, now mind it, this is when you commit to your covenant before your family, friends, those that you love. You make this promise to them and whatever your higher being is. When you commit to your covenant, the first thing that you have to remember is every day ain't gonna be a good day. And that's the same thing when you commit to having sex, because just because you wore a condom to try to avoid having children doesn't mean something's not going to happen and you could potentially have a child. Like, you got to start from again, I always look at the root, because that's where things start at. You have to start at, because a lot of times we look at, we pick the place that we want to choose where the trauma start or the circumstance start or the bad day started, but we don't look at where it actually started. Like, us being a single parent, it didn't start when he left. It started when we had sex with each other. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew the risk that, not that I was going to be a single parent, but that I could potentially get pregnant even if we use protection. If I was on birth control and we didn't use a condom, I knew the risk. If he wore a condom and I wasn't on birth control, I know the risk.
Hey, look, I would take you.
You gotta start. You have to start. It starts with being accountable. So, like, I'm so proud of you, bro, for saying, like, I started with remembering that for 10 years I was the problem. Not intentionally, but I was absolutely the problem of why she feels like this today. I told my fiance, we had a bad year last year. And so we took some time apart, we got back together. And one of the things that we both realized was certain movements feel like regression. And so I had to set him down, because we speak to each other different. Our language is different. It's the same goal, but it's different. So I had to speak to him like in my own language, because I've always said I'm the friend to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And that does not always sound nice. But it's the intention. The intention is but the intention is always with love. So I had to sit him down and tell him, hey, I know that despite what you did to me, gave me certain feelings, I know that my reaction to those, or my part in that conflict, gave you certain feelings. So if, in order for us to heal, because we got to do our own healing first before we can try to heal with someone else. So in my healing, I had to learn that in order for me to heal next to him, I got to heal first. I got to get to a place of healing first. So I had to tell him, like, listen, I know that for my own healing, part of it was me being repetitious and telling myself, you're okay, you're safe, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? So I had to tell him, like, listen, I know that one of the ways that we are going to heal each other is that every time we get triggered, I gotta own it. I don't care if 50 times you say, well, remember last year when you went out with your homegirls and then you cut your phone off and I gotta own that all 50 times. And I'm okay with that, because it's not up to me to decide when he is healed from that. It was up to me to not give him that trauma.
Not give him that trauma to heal from.
So I gotta own that. I told him, I said, you're right. And every time because today you might be good, but if tomorrow that you're not good, I'm gonna apologize tomorrow.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna apologize tomorrow for tomorrow. And if Saturday you're good, but Sunday you're not, I'm apologize on Sunday for Sunday. I'm not going to apologize today for next week. I'm not going to apologize today for next week, because I don't want to invalidate whatever I do next week that makes you triggered from what I did last year. So every time you feel it, I'm going to hold myself accountable, because that's on me. So all we have to do is learn, one, to be accountable, and two, to knock some of that ego down. Because when our kids come to us and they're going all over the hinge, my son has come to me and said, Mommy, I just need a hug. I'm like, yo, why are you annoying me today? He's like, Mommy, I just need a hug. You've been on the phone. You've been watching TV. You told me go to my room. You wanted your own space. And look, I get overstimulated easily. And when I'm overstimulated, I don't want to be touched. That's part of, you know what I'm saying, dealing with my own mental health. My overstimulation, I don't want to be touched by anything. I don't want to be touched by my clothes. I don't want to hear no sound. I don't want no light. So my son knocking on the door is I'm furious now. But then he's like, even so, I got to remember that, like, I chose you. I chose you. I chose to deliver you. So therefore, I got to remember that even on my worst days, if you come to me, I got to set myself aside in that moment and still love you. Because it's not your fault right there. I still love you. Even if I don't like to do what you want me to do right then and there, you still have a need that I can fulfill because I love you enough to still want to make sure that your needs are met too. And that's the space we always got to remember, is that it doesn't matter what happens when we choose a person. And I don't mean we chose them to have sex with them today. We chose them. We chose them to spend that expensive ass wedding. We chose them to have our children. And this even goes with baby mothers, we chose them to have children by us. Just because we don't like them does not mean that we still are not supposed to be in a functional relationship with them. It doesn't have to be romantic, but we still got to be in a functional relationship with them. Because just because I don't like you today and we got a child together, I still got to parent with you tomorrow.
Facts. Now, I think it goes back to what we were talking about, the order. Clyde, I got you. And let me put on this spot, and you can go ahead and finish off, Clyde. So when we got married, we went through marriage counseling, right? And marriage counseling, probably, bro, we were stuck on marriage counseling on me for about a good 3 or 4 sessions, because I couldn't get. When I got married, I already had 3 daughters. You know what I'm saying? So within marriage counseling, we're asking priority, roles, who comes before who. I was stuck on like, fuck no, I don't give a fuck what y'all saying. My kids come before anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, but after praying, meditating, and genuinely looking like, man, am I wrong? Like, how else? And then going and doing the research and looking, you see that there's an order in the house, right? But the order is specific to roles and how it's supposed to be, right? So if you're the man and you're providing, right, in the house, then ultimately they had that argument when they said who you bring the plate to. Your kid.
Who get the big piece of chicken?
Who get the big piece of chicken? My grandmother always showed me through action. And if I say, hey, can I get that chicken breast? Sweetie, this is yours right here. But this place right here is your grandfather. Mine was a half a breast. His was 2 whole ones. So I was like, oh, all right, bet. But it goes back to that space of order, right? Because number one, before you get married and when you at that altar, you're not making that promise to your wife. You're making it to your wife, you're automatically messing up and starting off wrong. You're making that covenant to God, right? And it's not to say you're gonna be perfect. It's not to say you're not gonna lose battles to your flesh. It's not to say that you're not gonna have all these different things you're going. But that's why you make it to God, that covenant to God, because it don't matter if you make that true covenant with God. You telling God that, God, I don't care what this woman do. If you telling me to stay and rock with it within reason, I'm gonna stay and rock with it. If I'm not getting my ass, if we're not beefing, we ain't fighting to the point. If I'm just unhappy. You got to realize, number one, bro, nobody can make you happy outside of yourself. Nobody, even in marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in that space, I was going back and forth off a role, not realizing, like, off of what I've been conditioned to, even growing up in the church, of what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's in a space where, all right, if my wife is cussing me out or fussing me out for something that she's frustrated with, and I don't know, have no idea, and I'm not taking into consideration the day she had, the stresses she had, and all that other stuff, I can take my ego and be like, oh, you talking to me like that? And not realize, like, oh, you know what? I'm done. I'm walking out. Boom. But then not realizing I'm leaving her to sit with some hurt, which got her expressing this stuff out that she didn't know how to express it because she's overstimulated. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to understand, like, the dynamics of human beings and how emotions work, you understand that love is a choice, right? And you understand that if I choose to love you to the point and say I do in front of God, then I'm telling God I'm going to do everything in my power to make this work, right? What you got going on, whatever you got going on, you got to do that with God just still on your end. But I'm going to make sure God see me. Hey, Lord, you heard that, right? But you see me, I'm still right here pushing through. And I'm sure she does the same thing. But the thing that changed my life when I realized a wife with the power of a wife, man, because number one, we're not independent creatures. We're social creatures. And men, a rightful man cannot survive without a rightful woman at all. You know what I'm saying? There's no way you look at it that happen. You look at men that are older and don't have a partner, bro, they die. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you look at women, why does a man live longer that has a wife? Because your wife in your ear, baby, take your medicine, baby, call your doctor, babe, doing that, babe, don't do that, babe, don't do this. But it's leaving you from what you're going to do, right? So when you're sacrificing that part of what you want, that's the part that gives you that role in your husband, because you're killing yourself. That's the part where that's where the argument comes in when that scripture, bro, when they say, a woman is supposed to submit to a man. But that the woman, it gets lost because you don't discuss the other part of it. That woman is supposed to submit because she knows you're killing a part of you for it to make this work. You understand what I'm saying? So it's when you look at the out of order piece of it, man, like society don't even come from that place because society tells you that Hollywood marriages are what it is. And society, Hollywood marriage is telling you that this person look good, this person is pretty, this person got this person got long, straight hair. But then you got the woman that's sitting there that cut all her hair off, bro, because she's stressed. But this woman will fight for you with every ounce of blood she got in her body, every ounce of power. So the order is off in that space, and it's not going to ever work when we're sitting in a space of saying, like, and although I understand it, I just don't agree with the current tone what people are saying, like, especially when you've been, and it's not, I know a lot of women, man, that don't agree with what you hear on these podcasts and what women are saying. It's totally different, right? But it gives you a sense of PTSD of even going to look because you're afraid that you're going to encounter what everybody else is saying. So the moment somebody do something that you don't like, you are up, fuck that, I'm gone, I'm out of here, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, rightfully so. But in that space while you're dating, you're supposed to be figuring out what you want, what you don't want, who you like, what you willing to, what you can take, what you can't take, what what you can compromise on, what you can't compromise on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take all that stuff in consideration to that point, bro. Like, I've been blessed to have some good friends in my corner, bro. Like, I call them and say, like, bro, I remember one time I remember my man Herbie, he an older guy, bro. He ain't that much older. Herbie, if you want to hear him, no offense, bro, but you older than me. So, but I was pissed off, bro, about something that me and my wife had got into and things that was said that day. And I walked out of the house. I walked for about 4 or 5 hours, just walking with my dogs, right? And I'm talking to him on the phone. He was like, Dev, friendly, he said, I was mad, bro. And he said, hey, Dev, I'm in my second marriage, dog. I'm in my third marriage. And he's like, if I would have known what I've known now in my first, I would have stayed. I would have worked it out. I would have got through, because what you learn is that at the core, maybe not at the core, but physiologically, they're the same. The same things are going to happen. So what you don't like in this woman, bro, if you don't like her attitude in this woman, hey, bro, you ain't going to dodge the attitude in the next woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can't figure out and then a lot of times vice versa in women, there's a lot of women out here that say, like, they wanted certain things outside of their marriage. They weren't getting from their husband. Their husband was born. They go out here and find exciting. And they just like, you know what, babe? Like, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So it's in that place of, that's why I go back to what I said earlier as far as the dating world, right? Like, the way we date is wrong, because a lot of times we go into a situation like Kay said, like, all right, we take things that we know we don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, we agree.
All right, let me go.
Go ahead.
Let me slide in. All right.
Go ahead.
I listen to both of y'all, right? I listen to both of y'all. And I agree with what y'all saying, because that's how I think. I'm an empath. So I'm naturally intimate. I'm naturally more intimate and in tune with my girlfriend and how she feels. And I can agree how she was there for me, like, through depression and helping me to discover shadow work and to help me get myself the way I'm supposed to be. So now I returned that to her, and I'm telling her, like, okay, now I'm at a place where I'm getting myself better. I want you to worry about yourself. So now and what she did for me, now I'm doing for her. But when I said what I said about the 5 years down the line or whatever like that, I wasn't more so talking about that's what I meant by the little stuff. Like, I wasn't talking about, like, oh, I don't like your attitude. Like, I'm sick of fussing with you. Like, because I'm not soft. I'm not no soft man. Like, I can take that. Like, I can take the fussing and fighting. Like, I can take your mouth. I ain't worried about your mouth. What I was talking about is more so, what do you do if you get married and then years down the road, your partner stops growing? That's more so where I'm coming from. I'm coming from when we supposed to grow every single day, right? So if me and my partner are on this journey together and I'm growing, but even if I'm growing faster, it doesn't matter if she's growing slow or not, long as she's growing. I'm not judging the speed at which she grows or the speed at which I grows, even if she grows faster than me. I'm not talking about that. Right. I'm talking about, what if you are continuously growing and you notice that your partner isn't growing at all? What do you do then? That's when I said,
what type of growing, like, so
that's what I was gonna say. What's the contingencies of this growth? Because we grow up to adults, and then at that point we're growing to settle. We're no longer growing to advanced. We're growing to settle. That's why when you go into retire, you work to retire. You know what I'm saying?
See,
So,
and that's probably why, like, because I don't think like that. I'm working to advance. Like, I don't
That's how you
feel
think.
like
That's you.
yeah,
That's how
because
you think.
yeah. So that's why I guess for me, it would be best for me to find a partner who thinks like that, like who wants to work and we can get married, but I'm not looking for a wife to submit. I'm looking for a woman who on her ground, who want to do the same things I want to do, who want to live her life, a purpose-filled life continuously until we leave this earth. I'm not getting to a point where I'm trying to settle. I'm not trying to settle. I'm trying to break generational curses. Know what I'm saying?
Look.
So submission does not mean that she becomes that. You got to remember, it does not mean that she becomes your slave. Like she's clingy.
Yeah.
Submission does not mean clingy. If you
she's
know,
just comfortable in her femininity and her
but
masculinity.
that is submission, because if I submit to my femininity because that's the space that you've gotten me in, I'm not submitting to you. I'm submitting to my femininity so that our relationship can have a male and female role in a more a healthier way. I'm submitted to the healthiness of our relationship, of me not being demasculating to you or your ego. And me being within and me feeling safe enough to submit away from my survival mode and into, that's why they call you soft girl, into my soft girl era, meaning I feel protected, provided for, loved, heard, all those things. So submission does not mean I am your pet, I'm your slave, I'm not, because we look at dominance and submission in the wrong aspects of things. And so, like, one thing myself and my fiance always discuss is, you have yin and yang, and so we can do that with dominance and submission. We are both very dominant oriented individuals. I've been a single mother for a long time. He's been a single father for a long time. We run two different households. We're trying to make sure that we know what that looks like when we combine our households. So submission to that does not mean he's going to pay one bill and I'm going to pay another bill and I'm going to sit up with my feet. It's looking like, okay, submission to that looks like, all right, I don't like to do the laundry until Wednesday, but he likes to do the laundry on Thursday. But as long as the laundry gets done this week,
no problem with.
Then we could do the laundry on Saturday. We could just do all the laundry on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like, submission it does not mean that she loses herself to you. It means that she gains strength from you to be herself naturally, to be her natural.
And I think that's and I think that's a misconception. Probably not more so. I don't know what generation you in, but I know in my generation and the generation under me, it's kind of like when you think about, well, some people, when you look at the Bible or you think about the typical household, it's more so like the man provides, the woman stays home, she cooks, cleans, take care of the kids and stuff like that.
Wait, what generation are you in? What generation?
Yeah, he's younger than that.
I'm 32.
He's not that much older. I mean, that much younger.
What's that generation?
I'm 39.
Okay, well, like I know a lot of people my age or younger,
and geographically we're in different areas. Like, I'm sure it's a little tiny bit, and this is not without offense. One of my best friend lives in North Carolina. I think I said this before. Her son and my son are the same age. Because I live in a more urban and less and in less like rural area, my son's development seems way surpass hers. They're the same age.
Yeah.
And I'm like, does he get to function in his age group and my son has to function beyond his years, or is he slow? Is he underdeveloped? Because we live geographically in different climates and in different environments. So I don't think it's a generation. I think it's an environment. An environment
and that's
where
I'm from is kind of fast.
Yeah, right. I was getting ready to say the pace down, the more south you go, the pace and traditional values are more aligned with older values, which I love much more than this ratchet shit up here. So again, remember what I just said. Submission here It's not a generational.
It's an environment.
It's the environment. You
And
feel
this
that, Kay?
environment
Oh, yeah.
looks like that. Submission in your environment looks like
that.
she is a stay-at-home mother, she is XYZ, she is this. And it's because your environment provides those circumstances to feel natural. My environment, that is not a natural environment. That is not natural circumstances.
So that's facts, right? You look at it from a place too to address what you said, Clyde, as far as like growing, right? Like Kay said, like what are you looking at as far as growth, right? And I'm not saying that anything you're saying is wrong. I'm saying like I understand where you're coming from. I'm saying that, but I'm coming from a personal experience of saying when I knew that where I was growing, my wife couldn't see. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and then sometimes when she's growing, I didn't see. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times that's quiet growth happening and we don't realize it. But the other side of that is that we unconsciously marry the person that's going to give us patience. You know what I'm saying? Again, so although you're that person that go, that woman might be chill for a reason because you need to chill because you can't go all the time. You know what I'm saying? So that's that balance I was saying with men live longer when they're married because she ain't gonna let you work your ass into a hole because she's like, baby, I'm here. We can do something together, or baby, you need to take a break. You know what I'm saying?
And the reason why you can continue to go is because she's not gone and got you stressed on where she at and what she doing. You got to remember that sometimes
that's a good point too.
Sometimes your motivation is her submission.
Yeah.
Sometimes your ambition is her lack thereof. Because so I know males that they're like, I gotta work because my woman don't work. Like, but that makes them feel like a man.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to take care of their woman despite, and it might not be she doesn't want to. It might be that their circumstances don't allow. They have too many kids that daycare would cost more than his paycheck.
Way too much.
So somebody got to
stay home.
But she's sacrificing though. She's submitting because it's just as hard to be a stay-at-home wife.
I can tell you from experience,
and a stay-at-home
role is harder than going to work.
As it is, people don't realize when I go to work,
that's a break.
My break.
That's like a break.
Bruh, I've been a stay-at-home dad since I was sick.
I've said it multiple times. The only place I get called my name is at work because everywhere else I'm this kid's mommy or this person's daughter. The only place where I get recognized as myself is at work when I'm detached from all of my other attachments. That's my place to be on my own. So sometimes her her lack of growing or her lack of moving forward is your motivation to continue to keep growing. So you got to look at whatever circumstance you put yourself in. Mm-hmm. You again, remember I said you got to stay at the root. Remind yourself of the root of things. Mm-hmm. If you want someone that is going to, in the end goal, be at the top with you, you got to meet someone that's going to move with you the whole time. Don't wait 5 years waiting for her to start moving. She got to be moving when y'all meet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to miss out on some of your own movement because you're trying to push her along in the movement. Mm-hmm. And then also you're going to lose focus on where you were trying to go because you're going to probably start to like reduce your movement. Like I can't dream that high because she won't go. She's not. I got to get her started. Like I'm not going to. So you got to. That's so people get nervous.
That starts with self.
Yeah, right. You got to know you first, but also you got to the first conversation. Me and my fiance's first conversation. Women get nervous in this space. We're like, oh, we don't want to run a dude off. I'm not. Listen, I don't have time for this. I do want consistency. I do want communication. These are things that I do want protection. These are things. Now, I'm not too strong to ask for protection. We were talking about the animal kingdom. One of the things that society has taken from us is our ability to ask for help because of our egos. So the animal kingdom, every animal is born with the ability to naturally survive. Mm-hmm. Giraffes, they come out learning how to walk. They already know how to walk. Certain birds, it takes them a little bit of time and then they naturally learn how to fly. Mm-hmm. People come out crying for help. We can't do shit for ourselves. Our first instinct to survive is to cry for help. Mm-hmm. As we get older, we Remove that instinct with pride. I'm not asking them. We will kill ourselves instead of asking for help. And that's where we are our own demise. So we can't get in a partnership with someone until we make sure that we acknowledge from the jump, listen, these are my needs. If you're not there with me, if you can't meet them, if you don't agree with them, then let's stop here.
Mm-hmm.
And let me go find my person. That's why for a lot of females be like, if you wanted to fuck other bitches, you should have just said that. I might have been cool with that. Y'all really don't understand.
Yeah.
Keep it stacked from the start.
Yeah.
I might not want to be in a full blown relationship.
Yeah.
So you being, you know what I'm saying?
Not just because of you.
Right? You done got a lot of me to do. You done got a lot of kicking. I might be cool with that. Let me decide. Let me decide. But we have been taught in society that if she asks for too much up front, she's too needy. No, if she asks for what she needs up front, you get to decide whether you get to stay or go, so that later on down the line, you're not killing yourself trying to meet expectations that you knew you didn't want to in the beginning. Sir, you don't have to wait 5 years to say, oh, we not moving, let's split up. Because you know what happened? Because at this point in time, you've built feelings for this person.
Mm-hmm.
There have been emotions that have been gone through. You have stressed out over this person. You have lost time that you will not get back. And you've also built traumas, unnecessary. And you're going to go put that on the next person because you wasted your own time waiting for something you knew wasn't coming to begin with. You saw that there was no point of it, and it was never going to look like what you wanted to, even to try.
Right.
So you got to make sure that from the jump, you keep it a stack from the start. You seem cool, and it's not what you have to bring to the table. These are the things that I want. Are these things that you're capable of?
Yeah, but so it's on the other side of what Clyde was saying too, right? I hear a lot of guys, it's a whole lot of guys out here, right, that feel like that just because they are the provider, that woman should be happy, right? And that woman stay at home. But there's a side of it where I know quite a few guys that I've talked to, man, that come from this space where it's like, I don't get it, bro. Like, she don't gotta do nothing. But I always go into that space, like, bro, like, but how do you know that's what she wants to do? How do you know she doesn't have something else in mind that she wants to do? And then that, because the one thing I can tell you from experience is that being a stay-at-home parent is 10 times harder than going to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like Kay said, that when you go to work, that is your break. Like you are literally away from your kids. You're not stressing about it, you're not bothering, not tugging at you, not calling you, you're not overwhelmed with not getting. Oh, there we go. You're not overwhelmed with trying to get, things taken care of. You're not overwhelmed by the role. You know that right now, my role is what they hired me for. I don't got to do no more, no less. I'm out of there. Then I'm going home to figure out what I got to do to a situation where, number one, the kids were sick. The kids woke up early. They've been throwing up. You got, all right, another one's in a bad mood. The dog done got diarrhea. This has got to be done. Now you got to cook dinner. Your people coming home in 30 minutes. If it ain't done, it's just a different type of pressure. But I think a society gets in the space, man, where I completely understand where you're coming from with that point, bro. And I'm not saying of course, there are situations that we're talking about that we're not addressing tonight that they require you not to stay around and things like that, right? And then you, like Kay said, you know that before that 5 years get to that point, though. You know what I'm saying? So although I understand, I disagree now.
I think, but I'm gonna let you finish. But now me thinking of that mindset, that may just be like a preconceived notion or like a trauma or a fear that I have that down the road something's gonna change, because I'm used to change. I'm used to things changing all of a sudden. So that may just be something that's out of me. So I'm glad we had this conversation, though. That was kind of
no doubt, bro. But the other side of that too, right? When you found your person, bro, right? I'm gonna say, because I've been in a situation like I had 3 kids outside of before my marriage, right? And I wanted to marry both of those women, right? But I couldn't. As bad as I wanted to, I couldn't, because it's just something that wasn't right amongst us. As far as it could have been maturity, you know what I'm saying? It could have been anything. It could have been the traumas. It could have been anything that that on both sides of it. It ain't just one side of it. So to get to a space when I met my wife, I knew I was in a space man, outside of the things that piss me off, what I'm looking at and the woman you are, I can see myself spending the rest of my life with you. So it took me to a space, man. We were having a conversation where last episode with Paul, we were talking. I was saying like the perception when you ask this question now, right? If you ask, I watched a video where this guy asked probably like 10 women, and the women were like, if it came down to it, like who should die first, is you or your husband? And every woman said, "Oh, my husband." And then when you heard the superficial responses, you kind of like, damn, like that's. But then you ask 10 men, and every last one of the men said they would die for their wife without hesitation. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you think about we do that because we're supposed to do that. And when you think about it at surface level, right? But then it's deeper than that. I remember I was having a conversation that used to be triggering, you know what I'm saying, for my wife. And when I used to say like, when I used to say something, and I'll be like women don't understand that why men look at their love as transactional, right? Because you'll ask a woman like, what does it take for you to leave? And you'll hear things like broke. You'll hear things like not making me happy. You hear things like that, right? But if you ask a man, like, what would take you to leave the woman you love? Nothing. I'm not leaving her. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter, because when a lot of men, when you make that situation to say I do, you realize that I'll do anything for this woman, and it don't matter if I have the money or not, if you're broke or not, if you're sick or not. I'm happy with you being in the shack, because now, even if it's not in a space where you want to be financially, I married you because I know that at some point we're going to get to a space where that's not even going to matter. And then when we get to that space where it's not going to matter, that's going to come into fruition anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you take the gauge off of the society gauges in happiness and marriage, man, it takes it off the materialistic things. It takes it off of the ego. It takes it off of what I want, right? Because now you talk to any man who's been married for years, bro, one of the things that all men love is sex, right? And then you find out like why men cheated, and you'll find out like men cheating during their wife being pregnant. And it's a selfish thing, man, because they say, well, I even watched the video. I can't remember, it was a reality show when the guy was like, his wife was doing an honorable thing because she knows that he can't live without sex. This woman has cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you telling me that you don't have the empathy or sympathy inside of you to overlook your sexual urges. It's not a need, it's an urge to make your wife have sex in a space where she's nauseous, bro. She don't have the energy. If a woman gets stressed out and don't want none, bro, what the fuck do they feel when they're sick? You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you sit back and you hear these things, when you hear like, when I say we out of order, it's not just one direction. It's all ways, because if you had the empathy to look at your wife and be like, yeah, babe, all your hair falling out, but bend over, let me. Nah, bro, like you feel sick doing some stuff like that.
I'll take what I could get mentality, like. But you know, when I look at union, I look at the things. So you remember the movie Titanic? When so remember in the Titanic movie, and this is so cliche, but
Clyde burst. Now you got something to say, Kay. Go ahead.
The first people that were allowed to get off the boat were the old people and the children, correct?
Yep.
This one old couple was like, we're good. We
had our time.
And they're like, we're just gonna go down together. It wasn't a who gets to stay and who gets to go. Listen, we're going down together, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have to know what life looks like after you're gone. I don't want to go find someone else to replace you. That's the way I look at union. I look at union like the end game is to find the person that you are going to settle down with, the person that is going to stop me from being in the streets, that's going to stop me from acting bad, that's going to end my hot girl summers. Like that
girl summer.
That's really what women who are looking to settle down, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone. It's not necessarily, are you going to provide for me? Because again, every woman, we know we're capable of providing for ourselves. And any real woman, just like any real man, if you're incompetent because you're incapable, then okay, that means I got to step up. But that means that if you can't go work, you got to keep these kids.
You got to keep this joint running.
So I look at those things, but I also look at, like you said, being gracious. Like when it comes down to it, in the one way, let's keep it real. Excuse me. Emotions evolve. Feelings are forever. Emotions, they change all the time. So an emotion is sad, happy. Feelings are love. You know what I'm saying? So if I love you, that's a feeling that's forever. Even if we split up, I might not be romantically attached to you, but if you die and I was people like, we fall out of love. No, we fell out of romance. But when you love someone, you don't ever stop loving them. You stop loving them in a certain capacity, but you never want harm to come to them, even if you're mad at them, because emotions are temporary. Mad's temporary, feelings forever. So even if we break up, I know one of your children's mothers died today. It's going to hurt you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to start those feelings that you had for them are going to nudge you like, dang, that was so and so. Remember us for the, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean you want to go back to being with them and leave your wife. It just means that they were there. They had an existence. They didn't go anywhere. They just are no longer.
They had an impact on your life.
Well, a lot of people.
They help you learn to love your wife like you love your wife. You know what I'm saying? Ariana Grande made that song, Thank You Next. It's a reason why she said, I'm grateful for my ex, because every relationship builds you to a character of you being your supreme self. Whether it be your relationship with your mother, your children, your father, you know what I'm saying, your spouse, they build you to the character of you being your supreme self. Your influences in those relationships, because those are your most influential relationships. Your influence there are it would build you in what you will accept, what you won't accept, what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So you got to remember that feelings are forever. Emotions are temporary. That's like I get pissed off at my kids, but I'm always love them.
Yeah. Fact.
My man, I told him, I said, listen, what matters to me, it's not that we're gonna fight. I know that. It's how you protect yourself, how you protect me from yourself when you get mad. If you're mad, because mad is an emotion, if you're mad and you say permanent words to me, because words are permanent, even if you take back the intent, the words have been said, the damage is done. If you're mad and you say permanent words to me, you got to remember what that does to me. So you got to remember to protect me from yourself. I always digress. I always dial myself back when I deal with certain people. That's how you know I care about you. That's how you know I have feelings for you, because I watch what I say, even if I'm upset with you.
So, hey, Clyde, I'm let you hop in and finish what you got to say. I just got to say, we've been real loquacious tonight. It's 2 hours and 19 minutes. We're going to go another 11 minutes, and we're going to do a part 2 on this joint, bro. Go ahead, Clyde.
Sure. Oh, I'm good.
You good?
I'm just enjoying the rest. Yeah, I think what I was going to say, I forgot. But y'all nipped everything. Hey, perfect.
No, I got you.
Everything. Definitely.
What you got, Clyde?
I said definitely hit all. I about to say definitely hit all the topics. For what I can remember, but I can't remember exactly what I was about to say. But it was something in agreement to what you had just said.
Okay. Now, man, I think that like having these type of conversations will go into a place where addressing the title tonight, we're out of order with the question, right? And just talking about it for these 2 hours and 20 minutes so far, we see how much is out of order, right? And although we understand that this order is causing a traumatic impact, right? This microwave insight that we have these days, it takes away from where it's supposed to. And we're not living, if people were designed to live for themselves, man, we would have died a long time ago in the Stone Ages. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think somewhere in the society that where we are today, we got this selfish construct, and rightfully so, just off the environments we've been introduced to and we've been raised in that we didn't choose, man. But ultimately looking at it like who's taking the impact of that? And you go back to that, who was that? Diana Ross? Who was that? Who was that? Who said I believe children are the future? Whitney. I don't know how I messed that one up. Forgive me, folks. You know what I'm saying? So like that's true though. Our children are our future. And you see these kids killing themselves for what? If these kids are feeling hopeless, what do they see then? You find the kids that aren't getting love at home. That's why I'm so empathetic for kids, man, because I see the kids that are looking for love just to feel love, right? And I see the things that they say that are hurtful to them that the parents don't even catch. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and then I see these kids doing behaviors as far as getting extra over sexualized. You know what I'm saying? By because I know I could tell you like this from experience that especially if you're a boy, like at those ages, women have all the power because they're usually the aggressor. You get the space of thinking that men are the aggressor in pursuing women at a young age, but it's really not. It's women at that age, that teenage year, women are really like aggressive and going to get what they want when you know towards these young men. You got some guys out here that are just as aggressive, but in that space, like women are more aware of their sexuality at that age than boys, and they usually turn us on to what makes feel good. And what happened to me at a young age was that the love that I was looking for, I found a woman that never made me feel how I felt before, and it felt better than it felt when I was getting caught up by my mom when I was sick. It was a different type of if you wanted to be in my space and did something to me in a space where it was like, oh no, like okay, we cool, but not realizing at that time that was where I was, not realizing that she already knew the power that she had. So when you're looking at somebody, you're in love of somebody, how it made you feel, and you're dealing with somebody who knows they have that power on you. They go in, men and women, you know what I'm saying? Like if a man know he can please you in certain ways and you like being kissed on your neck and all that other stuff, you can be mid goddamn argument and he can shut your ass up by kissing you on your neck. You know what I'm saying? Like same thing goes for a woman. If a woman know you pissed off at her and that like if you got that space and you got that trauma, that weakness where you just want to feel good and you just want to be felt, that's when you find the cheating happen. That's when you get into your disagreement with your girl, she don't make you feel good right now. So the person that's talking to you in that space, that's giving you the attention, she makes you feel good. And then you start to gravitate towards there and you cheat sometimes without even realizing why you're doing the shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's all trauma bonding. It's all in the space of reacting from your trauma. So in that space where I said that I cheated in relationships early on because of my trauma, it was in that space. We would get into a legit argument about some stuff where I would feel disrespected or I know I would get cheated on. And I thought I ended it on that space. I would say, you know what? I don't want to lose you. Let me just go ahead and do my thing on this side right here until we fix it together. That was an immature way of looking at things, right? But and then it kind of wipes away all wrongdoing on the other side. So now you're just as wrong as the other person on the other side. But you got to be careful, man, because in this world, you're dealing with people who know the power they have over you, right? So when you're dealing with somebody who knows they kiss you and they see you melt, you know what I'm saying? They know the power they have on you, and the wrong person with that power will use it for no good, and that will break you. That will destroy everything, every perception you have of a woman of what they're supposed to be moving forward. And then by the time you meet that woman that's actually genuinely loving you, they hit you with they actually trying, right? It gets to a space where my wife told me something that made me going to get well years ago, and which I forced her to get well. My wife told me at I was probably 35, 37, right after I got sick, 37. 2 years after I got sick, right? My wife having a conversation, and she looked at me and she was like, sometimes I feel bad because your baby mother's got the best of you. The stuff they hear, the stuff I hear, I don't see that person anymore. So then I started thinking like, bro, what happened? I got tired of doing those things for the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? And then when the right person came along, I didn't have the energy to give it to her, or I didn't have the confidence to give it to her, because now I'm not sure if she's going to take it for granted and run with it, or she's going to use it for the wrong reason and things like that. So I understand why we're out of order, right? But we can't keep moving like this, because what's the cost of it is bigger than us. We hear all these people talking about we're trying to break generational curses by chasing money. The real generational curse is in love. The real generational curse is being family support. The real generational curse to break is that divide that's been put on us in slavery. And when I say slavery, it ain't just us, because if you look back in history, we were the ones that have the documented slavery. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as on paper and what we went through. But if you go back and look through many different centuries and you look through their history of slavery in every space down to the Bible, back into the BC days. You know what I'm saying? Like, so before Christ. So when you think about things like that, man, the only thing that you can do in this space is move in a space for your future, for your kids. If you don't have kids, then you move in the future for those kids, because at the end of the day, those kids are going to be the one taking care of you decide not to have a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the kids that are going to be supported. These are the kids that are going to be established in a new way of life. Now, if you look at me personally, looking at the specific generation now, it's specific, this middle school, this school age generation now, man, it's scary, because these kids show signs of like civil war type of war, where if you don't agree, they're going to have wars all over off of small, non-important disagreements, right? And taking your eyes off of what's really supposed to be happening. When I say that, you look at how divided Africa is, and you look at the power, the vacuum that happens in Africa every few years, and while the lack of stabilization, you have over 400 million African blood across this world, right? But it's so spread out that we're the only culture who don't have any real power. You don't see Asian kids getting shot in the street by American police. You don't see you don't see Italian kids getting shot down and stuff like that, or even Greek kids or anything like that. You know why? Because they have a huge backing in another country. If somebody look at this, say wrong, they can go to war behind that because they know somebody cares about that person. Mm-hmm. They know nobody cares about us. We don't even care about ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So then it goes into that space where if you don't care about yourself, can you blame another race for looking at us the way you do? Although we do have some good ones, when you look at the mass of what's projected and how we reacted, it gets embarrassing sometimes because even moving out of a space, I'm from the hood, but outside of the hood, when you see hood shit, you like, bro, like that shit can be kind of embarrassing. Like you don't have, you know what I'm saying? Like I ain't talking about how you dress and none of that other stuff. I'm talking about how you interact with another person. You don't have any coping skills as far as de-escalating situations. You're cussing people out at the moment that you get mad. Like when you're in that space of expressing like pure ignorance, it's not just a black thing. It's just in the space of, because it's hood people in every color. You know what I'm saying? You got your rural hood people they call, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's in that space, man, where you just try to feel like it's in that space where we got to get back to a space of realizing what the mission is. And that mission back then, if the mission was selfishness back then, civil rights would have never happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't have had the Martin Luther King come out there speaking out. You wouldn't have that a different push for different cultural relevance. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
relevance.
You know what I'm saying? I can't even get it out. I'm tired of talking. But no, man, like, so we out of order. Yes, we're out of order in so many different ways. But if we continue to stay out of order, especially as a culture, bro, like we're going to be extinct. If you look at you're 12% of a society as a black man, but you 90% of the incarceration rate. And then you look at other states when you're that same low percentage, but then you're 87% of the health and ailment issues where you're dying from and all the other stuff because of the lack of taking care of yourself. It makes you wonder, like, what's the, like, it makes you see, not wonder, it makes you see how much that, it makes you see that what we're up against, how much they're winning and how long they've been winning. And at this point, it's on cruise control because they don't have to do anything anymore. It's a system in place where we kind of take care of our own. All right, we in jail. All right, we in child support. All right, you in, you know what I'm saying? Now you in a grave. Okay, you an addict. Okay, cool. Like you got so many different things that's pulling you in, bro. Like we're distracted by what the real mission is. And then in turn, it's taking so many people off of their purpose to kind of strengthen a race that's been weakened to where we are. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're not even, I can't even say we're weak. We've been put to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Like we're sleeping and we're distracted, focusing on things that don't even matter because, yeah, we're chasing that bag. But, hey, man, your son just, like you said, kid, like your son just came up to you and hugged you. I'm guilty of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. But this is genuine love coming my way. That will make me feel better. But the state of what I encounter on a daily basis, what? That's it. Oh, you just want to hug? Oh, my bad. But you already messed it up by showing that the first time they seen you, like, and they feel you saying, oh, my bad.
You already rejected it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if men feel rejected off of not getting no ass from their spouse, imagine how rejected kids feel when not getting that love that they're looking for, yearning for from that parent or that adult or somebody in their life. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got tonight, man. I think it was a dope conversation. I appreciate both of y'all. Y'all can go ahead and get y'all final pieces in that joint.
Yeah, I think it was a great conversation. Sorry I came in a little bit later. You know, I still, the podcast don't change being a mom. I still had stuff to do. But I do appreciate you inviting me on. You know, I'm down to come anytime.
No doubt.
Clyde, it was nice. It was nice having communication with you, brother. Like, despite being 32,
Likewise.
you are very wise. You are very wise and you are very mature. So I just want to give you your flowers now, that you had some very interesting pieces. So
that's facts. Go ahead, Clyde. What you got up?
Another great episode, man. I appreciate both of you guys. And I like how we bounce off each other, even though I was a little lagging behind with this computer in the beginning.
Nah, you good, bro.
I definitely I got a great viewpoint from just listening to some of you guys, like wisdom, and it helped me see things a little differently. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and I appreciate that too.
I appreciate the transparency, bro.
Might definitely got to do a part 2 though.
No, we definitely. I wrote that down. I was like part 2 and stuff that we missed. Like I said, we got 15 minutes left or 13 minutes left. I was like, yeah, we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about that. We're going next one to part 2 because it's something. These
I already got a topic. Man,
what's the topic, Clyde? Go ahead. What you got?
It was oh man, hold on. I think it was something like dang, I'm gonna tell you because I ain't gonna forget it.
Text me that though. It's cool. We'll go from there.
Put it in the group chat.
Exactly. But no, I appreciate y'all, man, especially the transparency, man, and the articulation that you guys come with, man. So I just like this the part where my show is I was stressing about where I didn't want to do it by myself, right? Because I felt like number one, I don't want the attention being on me. For me, that's just what it is, right? Number two, I felt like in this space that in order to make a real impact, you gotta have more than one perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like you guys coming on here and helping me out is the part where God said, you know what, you can't go force the help. I got help waiting for you. You just gotta put one foot in front of the other and make it happen. So like I said, like with tonight, like this is Kay, you weren't on here yet, but this is the first episode of the group chats that we do. Sundays will be the one-on-one conversations where I interview somebody and kind of do what we did when we started off. Thursday will be these type of conversations, and then coming in August, I'm working on a man cave where we'll have like different men talking about perspectives and different things and a different set of how we handle it amongst men. You know what I'm saying? And then on that space, I'm looking to do like a marriage type of thing or relationship, you know, having a significant other and things like that in that space. So we're gonna give a real live look at this stuff, man, and hopefully kind of take some of the lights off of the spotlight off of the word mental illness and go into a space of life, you know what I'm saying, and how to manage with life. So again, I thank you guys for sticking to my 1-3 followers that's been on here for the entire 2.5 hours, man. I appreciate y'all. Good looking out. Hopefully we'll bring some more fire content y'all way on Sunday, man. You guys are just engaged, man. So y'all have a good night. Clyde, we out.